Hello everyone! Hi. Let me know if you can hear me. Oh, I see my art's already on screen. Hello! I hope you guys are having a good day so far. Hello to Blantosaurus and Hijabdabi and Purino. And I know Sleepy is here. And I saw Lorenzo. And hi Troy. And yeah, I think that's everybody I've seen in the chat so far. You can hear me? Okay, great. Excellent. So how are you guys doing? Welcome to the very first stream where we are finally free. We have finally escaped High Guardian spies. Hey Turox. Hey Game Master. So yes, so we have our first stream where we are free from the ordeal of the past year, which was supposed to be one video and turned out being what I think it was 6, not counting the supercut. So we are free from the 5-hour ordeal that is High Guardian Spice. However, now we have to find new things to hyperfixate on and talk about in these streams. So double-edged sword, I suppose. We have to actually think for ourselves again, and we can't just go, oh, I'll just draw a High Guardian Spice character because that's what I'm talking about at the moment. It's a brand new world, and it's very terrifying. So how are you guys? How are you guys doing? I don't think everybody celebrates Christmas in chat, but I hope you're having a good holiday season. Have I seen Sunny Boy? No, I have not. Oh, Perino, you're going to draw as well? Okay, excellent. Hey Sats, doing well? Okay, excellent. I found a alternative solution with the full collection of the original Sailor Moon, and I'm really getting back into it. Oh yeah, oh it's so good. I know that there's a Blu-ray rip for alternative sourcing out there. I just haven't gotten it because it's 200 episodes. I think it's just under 200 gigs big, I think, which is understandable, but I mean, I just don't have the hard drive space for it. So I'm stuck with like the DVD rips, as well as the DVDs I own of it. But fun fact about Sailor Moon, despite it being available on Blu-ray and DVD, neither of which have been released in my country at all, so that's fun. Anyway, hello. It's great. It's a great show to talk about. I just finished my rewatch and it's awesome. Okay, I'll have a look into it if I remember, because my memory is notoriously bad. If you guys ever tell me to watch something or check something else and I forget, it's not because of you, it's because I genuinely have a terrible memory for certain things, and then I have like perfect memory for nonsense historical trivia that doesn't have any bearing on real life. Like that stuff I remember perfectly, but like actual things that people tell me, I will forget it within like 10 minutes. What is your favorite Mahou Shoujo anime? Sailor Moon. However, I want to say Utena, but Utena is an interesting one. I don't think I want to classify Utena as a magical girl anime. It's more of a psychology exam than a magical girl show. It's difficult, but I would probably say Sailor Moon easily. I was grabbing some water because I didn't feel my mouth. Musashi Gundo is good. It had a budget of $1 and had to use Google Images for the backgrounds. Oh, amazing. It's so good. So I recently bought a 8TB external hard drive. Yeah, I need something like that too. Do South Africans celebrate Christmas? We do actually. We're quite big on Christmas, but it's more celebrated as I think the word is secular holiday, because a very large percentage of our population is Christian. However, because we are such a melting pot of different cultures, we celebrate Christmas quite heavily, but not to the degree that I think America would, because it's difficult, because like I see us celebrate Ramadan as well. Like if you go to the mall during Ramadan, there are certain stores that'll have like posters and things up that say Happy Ramadan and things like that, but Christmas kind of gets more attention. So we definitely celebrate it. It's definitely a thing here, but with the double impact of not being primarily Christian as a country, and then also, you know, it is just about summer here. We're only now starting to get really hot. So we celebrate it, but it's not like as big as I think it is in America or one of the European countries and such. Seriously enjoying Gundam Witch from Mercury. It's like High Guardian Spice with but with mecha and not terrible. I need to get more into Gundam. I started watching the movie versions of 0079, and I watched the first one. It was really good, but because it's so heavy, I had to take a break before going forward, just because it's really heavy. It's really upsetting to watch to a certain degree. I think they celebrate Kwanzaa. No, I don't think we do Kwanzaa here. I think Kwanzaa might be, I'm not sure. I think that's mid-Africa. Not sure. Who's your favorite VA for Usagi/Serena? I like her VA in the Vizda, but I really miss Terry Hawks. I am a old schooler. I like Makoto. I believe it's Makoto. Again, some things I'm very good at remembering, other things I'm terrible with. Makoto is really good for Usagi. The voice actress who did Chibiusa, who took over for her when she was on maternity leave, is also really good, but Makoto is kind of the voice actor, and if they were to replace her, which they probably will have to at some stage, it's going to be very weird. It's going to be very strange hearing somebody else. Hey Hunter, hi CPuff, how's your legs? Cool. Yours are sore as hell. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. They're fine today. I did not go jogging or anything before the stream because I was smart enough to realize that that would probably kill me, so I'm doing good right now. I thought Utina doesn't have magic in it. It's just girls with swords are like that. It's difficult because Utina is like almost entirely visual metaphor, and it's a lot. So a lot of Utina you can't really boil down to like, oh, it's magic, because it mingles with what's subconscious in the human mind with what's real. So a lot of it is like, oh, that's obviously representing something else. Like there's a lot of it that makes no sense in reality, but you're like, oh, well, it's obviously supposed to be symbolic of this, that, or the other. So it's not really magic as Sailor Moon, where Sailor Moon has like very concrete explanation for everything. Depending where in the States, Christmas starts somewhere between Halloween and Thanksgiving. Yeah, I was listening to a live stream for somebody. She lives in, I'm not sure, it's in the Midwest somewhere in America. And she was saying she was going to some other craft store, and they had already moved the Christmas stuff to the back of the store and were already selling like the spring stuff. And she like lost her mind. And frankly, I would too. That's ridiculous. Musashi Gundo is on YouTube, but no subs. There are some crap subs on pirated sites, though. I'll look into it, because there are some weird things on YouTube, like really bizarre anime that nobody else has, are just like getting uploaded to YouTube, especially under, is it Kino Neko, I think? Let me just check. Kineko has a lot of good stuff. They do like remasters, they do like 4K upscaling of certain anime, and they do their own subs. They did the 4K remaster of the Super Mario Brothers anime from, I think it's like 1988, I think. That's really cool. And they recently uploaded a Laserdisc rip and cleanup of what's it called? Why am I blanking? Cypher, which is excellent. Cypher is like a 40-minute AMV, except it was made by an actual an anime studio. An anime studio made an entire AMV, so it's got like all these American pop songs from the 80s in it. It's great. It's really good. It makes no sense. There's no plot. It has the most insane ending you'll ever see in an anime. It's fantastic. Highly recommend. Did you watch Steven Universe? They ripped off a lot of scenes from UTN. Yeah, they did. I watched Steven Universe up until when? They introduced Peridot, and I really liked her, but it got really nasty after that, and I just noped out because I don't enjoy the characters in that show. I find them to be very unlikable. Sounds interesting. Maybe I'll try to give it a watch. I like psychological stuff. Oh yeah, no, check out Utina. Just look up like a list of trigger warnings in case you're sensitive to certain things, because it doesn't have violence and it doesn't have gore. And there's nothing gratuitous in it in terms of visuals. Like, they don't show anything, but they go into some very heavy topics into that. Basically across the board when it comes to heavy topics. They go into incest, they go into sex being used as a weapon against others, they go into systematic abuse, they go into what else? Gender dysphoria, they go into homophobia. Like, if you've got any triggers along those kinds of lines, it's a very empowering show, but it's very confronting. So they're not gonna hide a lot of the darker aspects that go on there, because that is specifically the subject matter they want to discuss. That is the talking point of the show. It's not just in there for shock value. That's actually what the show is about. If you're looking into Gundam, I know several series. Just depends on what you're looking for. I'm looking for 0083, actually, is the main one I'm thinking of getting into. But I feel like I have to watch 0079 just because it's the first one. How do I start a new thing? Here we go. There we go. Okay, fresh canvas. So we kind of have to decide what we're drawing since we are no longer leaning on High Guardian Spice as a subject matter. Apparently the guys who kissed aren't gay. Or was that a joke Kenny made? No, that's true. The two guys who kiss at the end of the Cypher anime are twin brothers. And if you haven't seen Cypher, what happens right at the end of Cypher is the two brothers wake up, and they speak in like really broken English towards each other by American actors who lived in Japan. So they just took them off the street and made them voice these American characters. And like the two brothers kiss and then they walk off to eat breakfast. And why that is because the Japanese people making the anime had no idea like how American culture works. So they're like, yo, no, that's what family members do, right? That's a normal thing to happen. So it's really strange and it's really funny. Sturgill Simpson had an MV of his songs on Netflix. Amazing stuff. Oh, cool. It's okay. I have difficulty with watching everything, so no trigger is going to stop me. Okay, excellent. No, definitely check out Utino if you're into psychology, though, because that is basically what that show is about. It is entirely about how the human brain works. Speaking of Gundam, Hello Kitty and Gundam did a crossover. Yeah, no, that doesn't shock me. Hello Kitty did a crossover with the band Kiss. I'm pretty sure Hello Kitty is the Scooby-Doo of Japan. It'll cross over with anything. Perhaps a holiday-themed piece. I know I should do one, even if I don't feel like it. Yeah. I was thinking maybe either like an Undertale thing, because if you're new here, I love Undertale. I legitimately love that game to death. I've been in the fandom since 2015, and that seems to be one of the fandoms that have like stuck. It's not a fandom that I was into for a few years and then left. It's one that's like really stuck around. So that's an option. Or, I don't have a Switch, but I've been watching a lot of people play the new Pokemon, so we can do something Pokemon themed and make it like holiday themed. It doesn't have to be Christmas, but I was thinking maybe we're a winter theme, since I know a lot of you are in winter and it just kind of fits the vibe. Or we can do, what else was I thinking? I watched Choctopus play his edited videos of playing Sonic Frontiers. So we can also do like Sonic or something maybe if you guys are into that. I'm watching Snapcube play it. I know Snapcube, she has like edited videos out of it, but I want to watch her like full streams because Snapcube, if you don't know, is the lady who did the real-time fan dubs. So like all those memes about Sonic and stuff that have just gone viral over the internet, that's from Snapcube. So I'm watching her playthroughs of Sonic Frontiers, and I've watched like the first 5 hours, and it's literally just her geeking and screaming at how much she loves it, so it's very enjoyable. You'd like my Sonic, maybe? It's summer in my country, right? Yes, it is very much summer. We were dying yesterday. It was so humid and awful. But it's better today because it started raining. Can't go wrong with Sailor Moon. Just stay away from the Cloverway dub. Watch the Cloverway dub if you want to watch something like horrific. Actually, let me see if I have that clip. It is one of my favorite things ever, and it comes from the Cloverway dub. I don't know if I have it though. Oh, please tell me I still have it saved somewhere, because it is fantastic. If I can't find it within like the next 5 minutes, I'm not gonna go looking for it though. It might be in here. But yeah, you guys, I think we'll go with Sonic then. A video on the Sonic franchise. Oof, do you know how long that video would take to do? Also, Super Eye Patch Wolf did such a fantastic video about Sonic. I don't know if one really needs to do an overview of Sonic outside of talking about specific franchise aspects of it though, because Super Eye Patch Wolf's on the Sonic franchise is just, it's fantastic. It's so good. Because he kind of talks about just how insane the Sonic franchise and its fan base have been for many years, but then he also goes into how that same fan base has basically resurrected the franchise just by being the big fans that they are. And people like Tyson and things like that. Okay, I can't find this video. I'm not going to go looking for it. Fun fact, Usagi and Chibiusa are cousins. Oh, Vegas? Yeah, I can imagine in Vegas it wouldn't really be very winter there regardless of the time of season. Okay, if we're gonna do Sonic, I'm gonna have to look up, well, not look up because I did download some, but I'm gonna have to grab some references because he's not a character I draw that often, and he's very specific. He's got that thing because he has such a not simple but simplified design. It can be difficult to draw him as a result. And then I remember how to draw him, and then I just forget again, so then I have to learn all over again. Sonic Satam was awesome. Yeah, Sonic Satam was pretty good. Okay, so line of action. I'm thinking. Oh, I know what I can make him do. We can do like this. I did have a Sonic redesign from like many years ago. Don't Google Sonic. No, don't worry. Oh, that's a good idea. But you guys can't see my screen. So it would have been okay. You guys can't see my screen, so anything that came up if I Googled Sonic would be fine. Okay, I know he's just a circle, but I'm gonna just design his body a little bit different. See, this is why I should have had my old art up where I did like a redesign of him. I did a redesign of Sonic, and then like many years later the movie came out, and it was basically almost exactly how I was drawing Sonic as a redesign, and I was so proud of myself. I'm like, yes, I knew it. So it's also fitting since Sonic Prime is coming up. Oh yeah, Sonic Prime is happening. No, hold on. Oops, sorry, dropped something. Anime Americans love but hated in Nippon, i.e. Akira. Oh, come on. Okay, there we are. Sorry, my PC froze because I opened up a folder and it didn't like that. Check out Sonic Boom sometime. The game sucked, but the cartoon is funny. I heard the cartoon is really good. I just draw Sonic characters as human because I don't know how to draw animals or furries. No, that's just Prime. Since you like Magical Girl and some interest in Gundam, check out the Noble Gundam from Mobile Fighter G Gundam. Did the screen froze? Yeah, my screen froze. I opened up a folder and my laptop did not like that. So it decided to freak out on me for a second there. Because I was trying to get to my Sonic folder to look at some references. PC tends to freeze a lot lately. Yeah, it's been fine, and then all of a sudden it's been doing that thing where it'll freeze for a second or so and then it'll just go back to normal after a while, so I'm not really sure what its problem is. But it should be fine because I am not going to be in my folders for too long. I'm basically just going to grab a reference image that I can work with. Hey Mick Bad Robot Voice. We are drawing a wintry Sonic picture because a lot of people are enjoying Sonic Frontiers. Oh, here we go. This is the reference image, right? Right, guys? This is the reference image. This is the one. I mean, that's the modern Sonic, right? It's the one we all like. Now, where's the actual reference image? Ah, here we go. This one will work. Okay. I forget who did this. Lenmew from DA, I think it was. That reminds me, I finally got Clip Studio, and honestly, I regret not getting it sooner. Oh, big update with Clip Studio Paint. So after I recommended it last time, they decided to show their ass and was like, oh, we're going to release Clip Studio 2, and it's going to be subscription only. And then everybody freaked out and told them, don't do this. We hate subscription models. This is why Photoshop stopped being an option for many artists. So then they backpedaled and said, okay, Clip Studio Paint 2 is now a subscription, but you can also buy it one-off. So we were all like, okay, cool. And then very, very recently, Clip Studio Paint was like, we are now going to introduce this thing where we're plugging in Clip Studio Paint into an AI generator, and it'll be like directly tied to generating AI art and stuff. And everybody freaked out and told them, no, 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 don't do this, don't do this. And they completely backtracked and said, okay, we are no longer including AI generation into Clip Studio Paint at all. And then they went a step further and they actually banned AI generation from touching Clip Studio Paint in any way. Like, you are not allowed to hook up AI generators to Clip Studio Paint or its asset store or anything. So we were going to, I was very upset because I keep recommending it to other people, and then the people who owned it pulled a bunch of really stupid decisions, but they've completely backtracked, so all the stupid decisions that I was dismayed about are now no longer relevant. So I can once again go back to recommending Clip Studio Paint. And I think I can kind of recommend it more because they actually listened to their user base. Like, they actually listened to what their user base said and made changes based on the feedback, rather than just going, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about, this is for the best of the company, and just doing it anyway. They said, okay, this is not something you guys want, so we won't introduce it. And that's very rare. Like, how often do you hear a big a big company doing that, where they just listen to what their users say? Okay, he's not as balanced as I want him to be, so I'm just going to rotate him. There we go, that's better. Ah, come on. Ah, no, it's not what I want. And paint tool. Sonic is a difficult character to draw if he's not something you draw very often, because his design is so simple that if you draw anything off or wrong, it's immediately visible. Like, because his design is so simple, it's so easy to make a mistake with him. So I'm kind of going to go with a Canon look to him, but I'm also kind of going to just kind of stick to my own style, just because if you stick to your own style, it's harder to screw him up, because if he looks like your style, you know, people can't say, oh, you drew your own style wrong. Put him up there. I'm gonna do like the Sonic CD thing. There's a very cool shot in the intro animation for Sonic CD where Sonic is like standing on a pillar, and it's really cool. And I really like that shot, so I'm going to do something like that, I think. Grab the paintbrush, draw the pillar like this. Maybe I'll make it like one of the pillars that are actually in the Sonic Frontiers game. That'd be kind of cool. Oh wait, I have an idea. I have a much better idea. So what if we put him on like... How do I say? It can't really be the top of a pine tree, because the pine tree is really, really just a point at the top. But we can do like maybe like a cut off pine tree or a log. I forgot Sonic CD's animation got a HD remaster. Oh yes, there's an HD version of the intro to the Sonic CD animation on YouTube somewhere. That was done by the same studio that did the animation for Dragon Ball Z, which makes sense because a lot of Sonic is just taken from Dragon Ball Z. I'd say do your style. It's always cool to see how artists draw characters out of their reach. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I'm just kind of stuck on what to do, put him on top of. I'm gonna do... What am I gonna do? Maybe I'll draw him. Okay, normally I would mark in the background and not draw the character first and then the background, but I don't want to sit here for 1,000 years trying to decide what to draw him standing on, so we'll just move it along and I'll do the background afterwards, and we can just kind of figure out what we want to do from there. It's a bit too light. There we go. That. Yeah, we get rid of that. There we go. I love Tyson's designs for Sonic. It's so good. Actually, I'm going to flip this so I can... There we go. Does he have... Okay, he doesn't really have a cheek that, like, comes past there. So I might just do it just to give it a little bit of definition, but I'm not going to go too crazy with it. Do that. Have on top of an open animal capsule from the end of the level. So that's an idea. I was thinking more like landscape though, because I think I'm going to make it like snowy and wintry. So I was thinking of leaning into that. And when I think of like snow and stuff, I think of not palm trees, pine trees. Which is probably just because of Undertale. I had to draw so many pine trees for the Time Scar comic, which I want to get back to actually, now that I have a little bit more time. Okay, I want to get this line a little bit more this way. There we go. Okay, so it's kind of like this. He has almost the same facial construction as Felix the cat, which I think was by design, if I recall correctly. Do this. No, not that much. Well, if nothing else, I won't draw him as badly as Ken Penders, so really, how bad can it go? Do that. Also, he doesn't have a chin. He doesn't have like any of those, I want to say anime chins, I guess is the best way to put it. Like even when the facial structure is quite round, there might be a slight sharpness to the chin at the bottom there, but he doesn't have anything like that at all. It's perfectly round. Even in like the modern Sonic design, he doesn't have that slight chin dip. I don't know how to describe it otherwise. Do that. On the nose though is definitely there. Maybe take topics from High God and Spice videos that can be expanded upon that don't have anything to do with High God and Spice. I don't think so, because I don't want to become like a High God and Spice channel, and because I'm still kind of small and I'm still kind of growing, I don't want to box myself in too much. I am busy working on a video series. At first it was just going to be one video, but due to time it's become like I'm gonna have to cut it up into pieces just so that I can have regular releases, so that my channel doesn't go too long without new content. I'm going to be ranking every single Disney movie, like every single one, starting with Snow White all the way up until, what's the newest one? Encanto, I think. Is Encanto the newest one, or was the one that came after it? I know there's one coming out in like, what, a month or so? But of the ones that have already been released, I think Encanto is the newest one. And I have, I think, 3 or 4 more movies to watch, and then I will basically be ready to edit and get up the very first video. And I'll have to count, but I think it's about 10 movies in the first video. It's like 10 or 12. So that's the next series, because I know so much weird trivia about Disney movies, in terms of, oh, his nose doesn't go that far, in terms of just like things behind the scenes and the history of the company. So ranking them gives me an excuse to just kind of ramble on about the history of the films for a little bit, without making like a dedicated video and saying, this is the history of Snow White, this is the history of this, which I think would be kind of boring anyway. I think just rattling off like trivia and interesting factoids about each movie as I'm revisiting them would make for a much more interesting video series. Plus, people like ranking videos. It's just fun to tune in to what somebody has to say and seeing what they like about a film and what they think revisiting it and such. So that's kind of, well, not kind of, that is what I'm focusing on next. Disney is an Orwellian nightmare. It is kind of, yeah. But I must say, so far I'm enjoying it. It's interesting to me, movies that I didn't really like when I watched them last time, but I haven't seen them in years, how I've really changed my opinion on them. And there are other movies where I went in thinking I was really going to love them based on my feelings past. And then I'm like, I don't remember liking this as little as I do now. I think you might mention Kingdom Hearts in it. Maybe in like a throwaway joke or something, but I don't think I'll bring Kingdom Hearts into it officially, like as a talking point. Oops, wrong one. I would close that drawing, but I haven't saved it yet, so I don't want to lose it just yet. I think like that is fine. That's good. This might be too much space, so I might have to bring that in. Actually, I think I will, because if I'm going to add the spines as well, that's just way too much space. Turn that off. Bring this in. There we go, that's better. Deselect. Are you happy for the new Madoka Magica movie? It was released in 2020, but you know, COVID. I'm really hoping we get news soon. Oh, okay. I need to catch up with the Madoka movies. I've seen the show and I love the show. I think it's great. But I also really like the way the show ends. So I haven't been super eager to look into the expanded stuff and the alternative realities that they've come up with for the universe and such. Just because I really like the way the original ended. But I do plan on watching them. I just haven't gotten to it yet, you know? Another Magical Girl series I was thinking of talking about, just because I rarely see people mention it, even though it's so good, is, what's the title? Let me just think. Full Moon wo Sagashite is a Magical Girl anime that I think would make for a really great video. It's 50 episodes long, so I'm not going to do like a play-by-play like I did with High Guardian Spice, but I think an overall discussion of that series might be very cool too, because it's highly regarded and everybody who watches it loves it, but I've never seen anybody online on YouTube really talk about it in detail. Okay, he has like almost lines for eyes. He doesn't really have circles. He's got like little lines like these. Make them kind of round, otherwise he looks overly surprised. There we go. Oops. Zoom out and zoom in. I'm going to flip this because I feel... that's not too bad. Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to do his weird single eye design. I am. It's a lot harder to do, frankly, if you're not used to it. But it's a design style I actually really like. I think is really charming. So I'm going to stick with it. Yeah, that's cool. Simplification is actually a massive weakness of mine. I really like designs and characters which have a lot of detail to them and a lot of like fiddly bits, but in animation, simplification is the name of the game. And I can simplify if somebody gives me a simplified design, but because I enjoy drawing so much, I like spending a lot of time on a singular drawing. So I tend to gravitate towards doing a lot of detail and a lot of anatomy and things, just because it gives me more time to spend on a drawing. Okay, I know he doesn't really have a neck, but I'm going to give him one because I want to. I have a reason. I just want to give him a neck because I don't like him not having one. If you want a Magical Girl series with an endless amount of content, there's always the Pretty Cure franchise. Oh geez, I would be doing Pretty Cure for the rest of my life. Imagine what Sonic contact lenses look like. Hi Guardian HQ, thank you for dropping in. I was wondering whether I would see you again since I have freed myself from the limbo that is High Guardian Spice. So it's nice to see you. Okay, I'll see what I want to do with that neck after a while. I'll do the rest of it and we'll get back to it. I might have to make his head bigger as well. Let me give him his spines. That might... because it looks like his head's quite small, but the thing is if you add the spines, it adds a lot of mass. So his head might not be that small. What does his ears look like? Oh, they're like little triangles. Okay. I always forget that Sonic characters don't have necks. Yeah, I think No, Felix the cat does have a neck, so I'm not sure why Sonic doesn't. That's odd. Do it like this, I think. Wait, how would I do it if I were to do it the way I used to do things back in the day? Like that? No. Like this and like this. It's been a while since I drew, actually, because I've been busy with like Christmas stuff and family stuff and such, so I can feel that I'm a little rustier than I would like to be. And I've been sitting down and watching a lot of Disney movies. There's so many Disney movies, you guys. Hi, Prophet of Puns. Granted, hedgehogs don't have necks in general, but you know. Do they? They must, though. Like, well, I'm sure they have, like, a spine, but I've never really thought of that. This neck is too thick. I need to bring this in a bit. But yeah, Full Moon Moshgash there is an idea I was having of talking about, because it's really interesting, and it's also an interesting period of anime history, because it came out in like 2002. So shoujo anime in 2002 is really interesting, just in terms of the art style, but also that's when anime started doing a massive shift towards digital coloring, and there was a bad learning curve there. If you look at anime from that time period, even if the art style is quite nice, just the coloring is so ugly, because they were figuring out how to do digital coloring, and not all of it looked great. See, his body is kind of too long here, but I'm gonna go with it for now. Alright, I was saying I was gonna do the spines. I'm actually gonna do them in a new layer, just because I'm scared of messing up what I've already drawn. That's the one benefit of working digitally. If you're worried that what you're drawing is going to go bad, you can make a separate layer. There we go. Don't want to make it too long, because I think, yeah, classic Sonic doesn't have that long. Hey, Frog50. Even Song of the South? No, I'm not going to do Song of the South, because I am doing the animated movies. I'm not going to be doing the live-action hybrid movies, because if I did Song of the South, I would have to do, like, Mary Poppins, I'd have to do Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and there's, like, a bunch of them in between as well. I think that combined animation and live-action, maybe not to a large degree, but I have to be careful, because at what point do you say, okay, these are too many movies, and at what point you say I'm gonna not include that one, but I am gonna include that one. And of course I did not create a new layer after I said that. Oh well. We're just working on one layer then, that's fine. It worked out fine anyway, so it's okay. Are you gonna cover the lost Disney films too? Which ones? You're gonna have to refresh my memory on what you mean by the lost Disney movies. Without the quills, he looks like Ray the Squirrel. Oh, he does, kind of. I really like Mighty from of the Sonic characters. I don't know why. I just think Mighty is cool. I think I just like his character design. Okay, I don't have classic Sonic with his shoes, so let me see if I can find one, because I don't want to go too far into modern Sonic. There we go. If I was smart, I would have brought up some of Evan Stanley's art, because she is a master at drawing Sonic. So it's basically just little triangles, but I'm just going to give some definition there. Otherwise I get lost in like what is... I lose my... What do you call them? Like when you're traveling and you have... Not vantage points. But you have like visual markers of where to put things that help you figure out where you are. Sorry I'm late. Notification went under the radar. What are we doing? Hey Goofus, we are drawing a wintry Sonic picture because we are free from High Guardian Spice and we can draw whatever we want. But on the other hand, we have to draw. We have to figure out what we want to draw. And I am busy watching Snapcube play Sonic Frontiers, and it's surprisingly good from a story point of view. I mean, it's Sonic, it's silly, it's cheesy, but in a sincere way that I'm really enjoying. And I'm having fun watching Snapcube play it just because she loves it so much. She's having such a good time with it. So, you know, it's fun to see somebody enjoy something they enjoy. What is this foot doing? Good lord. I'm okay with drawing hands. I am not good at drawing feet. I don't know why. Like in shoes or otherwise, I'm just not good at it. I'm going to have to twist this because otherwise his foot's going to be broken. Bring this down a bit. Probably going to have to make it bigger as well because Sonic has some big shoes. He's got some Kingdom Hearts shoes. So you like doing your own version of Disney Simba? Kind of, yes, except it's going to be like just part 1 of like a 4 or 5 part series. But yeah, I was thinking I was actually stretching it a bit. It's kind of small. Yeah, let me just see. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to use the liquefier tool. Here we go, liquefy. Which one? This one, I think. Bring this down, bring this down, bring this down. And I'm probably going to have to revolve it again, because again, this will break his foot, his ankle, if I keep it as it is. Bigger! Oops, it's too big. It's not Sonic Adventure shoes. There we go, that'll do. If I manage to finish the fan art of you, where do you send it? Oh, excellent, thank you. The best place to find me is on Tumblr. And I'll link my Tumblr. Well, you said you had to go to work. Let me link my Tumblr and chat quickly. I am on Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter. Well, I don't like Twitter, first of all, but the other reason is I've never been able to really gel with the way Twitter functions as a platform. For some reason, it just doesn't work for me. I'm not a big fan of like how retweeting works, and I don't like that you can only retweet things once. And I don't know. I don't like the reply system. Me and the way the website is designed, I'm just not big friends with it. There we go. That is my Tumblr link. Oh wait, I saw Bluntosaurus tag me. Hold on, let me just scroll upwards. Here. I hate beating a dead horse, but when I have some free time, I'm thinking of writing High Guardian Spice, the Renegade Cat. Oh, go for it, absolutely. I fully encourage people to play around with the creativity that High Guardian Spice did not bank on, just because there is so much that you can do with it. There's a lot you can do with that show and these characters, and the world setting that just wasn't banked upon. So if Ray Rodriguez isn't going to do it, you might as well, right? What is happening? Why don't you want to do this? Okay, that was very strange. I don't know why it crapped out on me there. Working on a... I don't like Twitter based. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. Even if it was a perfectly fine website, I don't... You know, if it wasn't as Twitter as it is, I don't know if I would use it just because I don't enjoy the way it functions. This foot is not working. Let me erase these. Okay, finally. Jeez. Working on a Gacha Club project. Yes, there are some members of our community that aren't cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. My rewrite of High Guardian Spice is just going to focus on the rot and demon summoning. Can we talk about how Twitter is falling apart right now? It is remarkably fascinating how that whole thing is playing out. I don't know if I really want to talk about it right now, not because I find it upsetting or anything, but because I know that there are people who do find it very stressful because they have communities they've built there and stuff like that, and there are people who rely on it for income in terms of commission work and such. So I'd rather not go into it too deeply here, just because I feel like I don't want to stress people out, and I know it's a trigger for a lot of people. But also, because I use it so little, there's not much I can say about it, really. I have a bit of a more not nuanced, but relaxed opinion of it. I feel like, regardless of what happens to it, it's kind of going to go downhill for a while, and then eventually, what's his name? Not Bezos, what's the man's name? Musk is going to sell it to somebody else once he feels he doesn't want to mess with it anymore, and he's going to sell it for like a fraction of what he paid for it, and then the new owners are going to pick up the pieces and kind of reconstruct it. And in my opinion, that's basically what's going to happen. I know that's very anticlimactic and not very dramatic in any way, but I'm convinced that's what's going to happen. There we go. Just erase this. There we go. I gave that one a bit of a toe, so I'm just going to give this one a bit of a toe as well. High Godian Spice is the perfect example of wasted potential. It's a half-baked project where you can see the passion poking through, but then it was covered in agenda pushing. It's also very interesting because I've been thinking a lot about the studio UPA, and I don't know if you guys know who UPA was, but I find myself thinking of them quite often lately in terms of letting an artist run a project versus letting a businessman run a project. Because I think we are inclined to say, oh, well, if the artists had full control and stuff, things would automatically be perfect and wonderful. But then I'm like, yeah, but UPA existed. UPA is a thing that happened. And yeah, UPA. Daddy Elon is taking away places for me to post my art. Oh, I'm sorry, Hunter. I just think Elon is a goofy goober. He is. And I think that's the perfect way to describe him, as a goofy goober. Oopsie. I did join Mastodon just as a failsafe, but I haven't really used Mastodon much, and I'm a little confused how it works because it's not it's a centralized hub, but it's made up of individual servers that are like honeycombed together. So I'm not 100% sure how to use it because I'm on one server and my friend is on a different server, and I kind of just have to figure out how to link the servers and things like that. It's a bit difficult. But I did join it just like as a bit of a failsafe because I like having plan Bs and plan Cs and plan Ds for when things go wrong. I praise Elon Musk, our new Lord and Master. If Elon actually deletes Twitter, then he deserves a Nobel Prize. You know what that also makes me think of? There's an anime. And I don't want to talk about the anime itself so much, but there's one specific episode of this anime, and I always feel like I want to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it before the Elon Musk thing happened. In, I think it was 2003, this anime came out called Kino's Journey. Now, Kino's Journey is about a girl and her motorcycle just kind of traveling through the world she inhabits. But there's one specific episode that I always want to talk about, and I'm trying to think of like how I can title the video, because it'll be something like the anime that predicted Twitter, or the anime that predicted cancel culture, something along those lines. Because what it is in that episode of Kino's Journey, she comes across this town where everybody lives in their house and they keep their houses locked up and they don't interact with other people whatsoever. And what happened was, in this town, the people in it figured out how to neural link themselves to each other at all times, all the time, so that there would never be any misunderstandings between them. But then what happened is you can't filter out the bad things you think about people when you're angry or upset with them or whatever. So everybody was constantly hearing the bad thoughts that everybody was having about them. And it resulted in this entire town going to chaos and everybody hating each other and fights breaking out in the street and it becoming super violent. So then as a failsafe, they basically locked themselves each in their houses so that they never have to hear each other ever again. And I think about that anime episode a lot. I think about that episode all the time. And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. Low Guardian Spice. Also, a couple of rando characters in Castlevania were gay/bi. Yeah, and like also Near Automata. I don't think there's one straight character in Near Automata. They lock themselves in their house and can't interact. The enemy predict COVID gang. Kind of, but not really. Because again, this was like, we don't want to. It's basically almost like cancel culture in a way. Like I said, I kind of have to think how I want to present that anime, but it's a very interesting, interesting reflection on human nature before it became a big thing. Like before social media was even a thing, this anime came out, and I just find that very interesting. Do this. I might have to raise this hand a little bit so he's not covering his eyes. That's literally the first episode? Really? Wasn't it of Kino's journey? Because I thought the first episode was with the rabbits. Which if you know, you know. This hand is too long. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. There we go. Wait, so let me do, if this finger goes here. This finger. He has 5 fingers, right? He doesn't have 4? Yeah, he's got 5. Oops. Have you watched the channel Purple Tea? They make really good Gacha Club animations, and I think you might like watching their videos. Oh, no, I haven't. I'll look into that. Here we go. The rabbits, where she was hunting for the guys. Yeah, that one. Okay, one hand is way bigger than the other one here, so I'm just going to make this one bigger. See, this is what happens when you tackle a character with a very specific design, when you aren't super used to drawing them. Like, I'm not crashing and burning here, it's just difficult with a character like Sonic, which is so simplified. And I know I could make my life easier and draw like the more modern design, but I decided not to do that. So here we are. Let's check this. No, not that one. This one. Okay, I see. Oops. So he's basically got really big gloves like this, so that when his arms come out of them, they can be much thinner and it doesn't look weird. Ah, and I'm in the wrong layer. Hold on. There we go. Kind of like that. There we go. I might just make this arm a little longer, just to balance it out a little bit better. Actually, let me use the liquify tool again. This liquify tool is a new addition to Clip Studio Paint, and I was so happy when they added it, because I used to use it a lot in Photoshop. And so, not having it in Clip Studio Paint, I mean, it wasn't a disaster, but I'm just happy to have access to it again, because it's so useful. Why are you all the way up to like 100? Go back down. There we go. Have you ever played a first-person dungeon crawler before? Does Morrowind count? Morrowind has dungeons in its first person. Tails, why do I have a neck now? Because I said so. Because he deserves a neck. You know what? I think Sonic deserves a neck. I think Sonic has been through enough trauma in his life as an internet person, thing, creator, creature, that he deserves a neck. Actually, if I do it this way, I'm going to check my anatomy here. Okay, I'm actually going to redraw this because I think the anatomy is kind of not working for me here. Because I made this hand bigger, so now I have to move it down a little bit, otherwise it looks weird. There we go. Come on. There we go. He must work for the privilege of having a neck. Hasn't he done enough, Guardian HQ? Hasn't he suffered enough? Hasn't his father got thrown in jail? Hi, Guardian HQ. His father is currently in jail and he has had to deal with that, which I'm sure has put a lot of trauma on him and his family. Does he not deserve a neck after such turmoil? Yeah, Sonic's been through a lot since his father went to jail. So we've got the same brain. Hey, Nightfall. One of those days, yeah. Why would you want to... oh, sorry, you're still talking to somebody else. Oh, speaking of Tumblr, Ray Rodriguez likes my High Guardian Spice art where Rose, Amaryllis, and Slimeboy wore the outfits aligning heroes for Shin Megami Tensei 1. That was an experience. Yeah, you know what? That is actually why I have not uploaded any of the High Guardian Spice art I've posted on my community tabs to Twitter or Tumblr. Because I am scared of Ray Rodriguez finding it. And it's not that I want to avoid him as a person. It's just because I had very negative things to say about his product. I kind of don't want to interact with him just because I feel... maybe it's fine now, but while I was making the videos, it felt like almost a conflict of interest because you don't want to come across as being mean to somebody who you've personally interacted with. You know what I mean? So I've kind of not uploaded any of my things, to Twitter or Tumblr because of that. However, I was thinking I'm going to upload all the line art for all the High Guardian Spice drawings I've done on stream. I'm going to put all of that on Patreon so that people can color them and stuff. From $5 and up, you too can get access to a High Guardian Spice line drawings. How many rings does he have? And Nick is worth at least 10,000. Do you think it works like Supersonic, where in order to have his neck, it like consumes rings, and he has to make sure that he has a steady supply of rings, otherwise his neck privileges gets taken away from him after a while? What do your shoes look like? I don't want to draw those. I just want to draw your dead ordinary shoes. Okay, there we go. Oh, save. If anybody's drawing along, remember to save your work. Sonic. Go to stream save as Sonic. Sonic is above having a neck. I never want to call out anybody only because I'm no different for the opportunities I want. Then again, I did just call out Elon Musk. Yeah, but he deserves it. Gets the neck power up. It only lasts 10 seconds. What happens if he gets the neck power up and then the neck power up goes away? Like, what does that look like? I'm going to make his body a little bit smaller just for proportions reasons. I mean, he looks fine here. This proportion isn't that bad. I just kind of want to make it a little bit smaller because he's kind of in a position between Sonic and between classic and modern, and I just kind of want to scale it down a bit. Here we go. And fix this arm here. Like that. Oops. Here we go. Okay. Oh, and I need to give him his... I need to give him his spines, but you don't really... I guess if you do that, you can kind of see his spines through his arm. Okay, now. Need to give him those big chunky socks. Not like that. Like this. There we go. Socks like that. Oops. Like that. Oh yeah, that just reminds me. There is a Super Mario Brothers ROM hack where Mario gets his neck gets longer over time. I am very scared of Mario ROM hacks just because they are. I have heard stories about how difficult they can get, and not just like Kaizo Mario. I mean, like all Mario hacks, it seems, tend to be very, very difficult. And I like video games, but I am not the best gamer. I think his buckle's on the. Yeah, they're on the inside of his shoe. Okay. Oops. Wrong one again. Okay. I'm just going to zoom in because now we have to do this part. Need to give him those chunky socks. He does need some chunky socks. You want to be careful adding body parts. Look what happened to the TMNT when they got noses in the Michael Bay movies. Yeah, let's not talk about the Michael Bay movies. When he basically turned Michelangelo into Shrek. Oh, I hate the Michael Bay movies so much, you guys. I love the Ninja Turtles. I legitimately adore the Ninja Turtles, so the Michael Bay movies like hurt me personally. Oops. What on earth was that? I think my laptop and or tablet are going insane, so we're just gonna have to work through that. Including the graphics mod hacks? Yes! All Mario ROM hacks are hard. All of them. Hard hacks are probably true. Oh, hey, Vice! Hard hacks are probably true for older Mario games, but the Super Mario 64 modding community makes some really interesting stuff. That I can believe. But yeah, I'm mainly thinking like the SNES and NES Mario hacks. They tend to be really difficult. Just across the board. Okay, now I'm back to the problem of he needs to be standing on something. But I think I have an idea, so we'll see if this works. If I just draw a pine tree, but I do it like this. Like, this is the pine tree. And Sonic is standing on a branch like this. See, like that. And then we can put snow like this, and then snow can like fall off it from that. Oh, you know what? I've given him a neck, but you know what I can also give him is a scarf. Because it's Christmas. There. Now nobody can know. Nobody will know that he has a neck under there. What's a show you think had wasted potential besides High Guardian Spice? Transformers, the animated series. I can't believe how quickly that came to mind. Transformers, the animated series, which had all the potential in the world, and I became so frustrated the more I watched that show because of how it chose to handle itself and the way it chose to handle certain characters and certain character arcs and plot points and just almost everything in that show. It was a very difficult show to watch, especially if you like it. And I really liked some of the characters in that show, and that made it extremely frustrating as somebody who was enjoying it. I think if you don't care about that show, it's fine. If that's a weird thing to say. But as somebody who actually enjoyed parts of it, it was really difficult to watch just because so much of it was painful. For one reason or another. Don't get rid of his neck privilege. No, his neck's still there. He's just hiding it. He's hiding his new power from the world. Sonic must hide his neck status or he will get persecuted. Yeah, exactly. His friends will no longer want to associate with him if they knew of his neck privilege. So I'm going to just cut this tree a little bit, but just because there's a lot of space down here and we don't need all that. But I am going to bring the canvas up a little bit. Oh, you know what? Just do it this way instead. What am I doing? Just grab all of it and move it down. There you go. Yeah, it's okay. I can probably tilt him a little bit forward, I think. Let me just see if I can get away with that. Actually, what I should do is I should flip the canvas and then see. I think his right arm should be bent. Yeah, maybe. Because, I mean, he's kind of a cartoon character, so if his arm is a little long on that side, it's not the biggest disaster in the world. Is my phone buzzing at me? Yeah, because this his part of his arm is now covered by the scarf, so we can actually bend it a little bit here like that, just so you can see it. Oops. There we go. Yep. Come on, there we go. Flip. Come on, there we go. And I think I'm going to just change his pupils a little bit. Not change them, just bring them up a bit. There we go. Okay, inking. Just gonna color this layer so we can see what it is. Oh, jump here, go to black, grab the ink. Sonic does have a big head, so his arm wouldn't be as bent as it would be for a human in the same pose. I guess so, yeah. Sonic does have a neck though, just a very tiny one, at least in Boom. Oh yeah, good point. CapCut is a pain, but it's the best editing software I have for capture videos. Oh, okay. Wait, this is too little. Oh, it's on 6. It needs to be on 12. There we go. Do that and that. I kind of like first-person dungeon crawlers because it feels more immersive to me for some reason. Now, I can kind of get what you mean. When I was I don't want to say child. When I was a young teenager, I was extremely not into, what do you call them? I guess isometric RPG games. Like, I'm thinking, what is it called? Neverwinter Nights, like that kind of style. I wasn't really into that because of that reason, because I didn't feel immersed by how far back the camera is. However, I've been playing, what's it called? Tormented a lot, because that's a game that just went past me and I never got into as a child. And that game is one that everybody says, oh, it's got some of the best writing in video games. It has some of the best writing you've ever seen in a video game. And so far, I kind of have to agree. Like, I really like Tormented. Planescape Tormented. It is such a good game. Good lord, is it well written. And that is a very, very far drawn back. I don't think it's isometric, but it kind of looks, you know how in isometric strategy games how far back your camera is? It's like that. I forget what those are called, but it's kind of like Neverwinter Nights and stuff. The design, the camera design stuff. I have to go work out. If I'm not back, have yourself a good one. Happy holidays. Thanks, Hunter. Happy holidays. And thanks for dropping by. Yeah, not doing the High Guardian Spice things is kind of intimidating in a way, because now I have to hope that people are still interested in other things I have to talk about, because High Guardian Spice was, like I said at the beginning of the first video, it was the popular dead horse that everybody liked to beat on. So I'm a little intimidated that people might still be interested in what I have to say and such, but in a way, it's like, well, if they will only have High Guardian Spice and that's finished now, I can basically do what I want, because it doesn't matter whether the video I make is interesting or not. Those people weren't going to watch anyway, so I can just talk about what I want. But I hope people are into the Disney stuff, because I think there are some good jokes there, and some of the movies are very good and some of them are not. And I just think I have interesting things to say about them, which I don't think a lot of people have gone into when they do ranking lists and such. I'd call it an isometric RPG, like the original Fallout or the older Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, it doesn't have the grid system like an RTS game, but it has that drawn back camera so that you're way far away from the characters in the action. And most of the story and dialogue is only done in text, because this was like, what, 2002, I think? Was it 2002? Morrowind was 2002, I think. So, when was... Why are you freaking out? Oh, it's because you think I'm still pressing that button, even though I'm not. Okay, I see. I forget when Tormented came out. It was way when I was not into that style of video game. So it doesn't really matter, because I'm playing it for the first time now. Still too big. There we go. People are into Disney, yeah, but you have to actually bring something interesting to the table, because I think a lot of people talk about Disney, but people really like long form videos, because people are very much like I do. People enjoy having long videos that they can just put on while they do something else, like grind in a video game or do dishes or cook or whatever it is. So I'm hoping that'll also help. December 1999. Okay, yeah. Because I think by the time Morrowind came out, that style of video game was kind of on the outs already. I think Neverwinter was still doing it, but everyone else kind of was trying to move on from it, because 3D was the next big thing. Oh, is Guardian HQ going? I have to head out now. Happy holidays. Thanks for dropping by, Guardian. I really do appreciate it very much. What are you drawing? I am drawing Sanic. Hello, Master Zapple. I almost said Master Apple. So, Seapuff, have you ever heard of Thief and the Cobbler? I have heard of Thief and the Cobbler. In fact, the recobbled cut 4K version is on YouTube somewhere. And I really recommend it if you have not watched it, because it is fantastic. That's... Have a good stream. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Porino. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, the recobbled cup, that's something one can talk about. But I wonder if... Not that I'm not going to do a video just because somebody else has done it, but it does make me wonder if somebody else has really gone into detail about Thief and the Cobbler and the recobbled cut and everything going on there. And I don't mean the nostalgia critic, because I'm pretty sure he tried to talk about it in a video or something. But, you know, somebody else who's not the nostalgia critic. Recobbled Cut has a dedicated channel. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Oopsie. Wait, I made a mistake here. Because he actually has something here. Zoom out. There we go. Why early cartoons are weird. Vid something in Elquays. Oh, I always, sorry, I got very confused. Liked your why early cartoons are weird vid. Something I always wondered about. Thank you so much. I don't think the video did great, but I'm very happy I did that video, because my research for it made me learn a lot of things that kept coming up in other videos. For instance, in this Disney video, I'm going to talk about certain things that I learned in the Why 30s Cartoons Are Weird video, specifically when we come to Dumbo, because if I'm going to talk about Dumbo, I have to address the crows. Because everybody always addresses the crows, and you can't not address the crows in Dumbo if you're going to talk about Dumbo. So my research I did into the 1930s cartoon, specifically when it comes to the jazz movement and the history of the Black American culture involving jazz, that was very invaluable when I got to the crows in Dumbo. Have you seen Wednesday? If so, what do you think of it? I've not seen Wednesday, but I keep getting ads for it. My friend says it's very good. And from what I've seen, I enjoy what they've done with the characters. And I like what they've done with Gomez, where instead of trying to copy Raul Julia's version of the character, they've gone back to the original comics and like pulled on that inspiration instead of trying to just do Raul Julia again, which I think is a good move because you can't replace Raul Julia. You just can't. Hey Raffin, hello, just found your channel with the 5-hour High Guardian Spice video and loved it. Your measured content is great and you share a striking vibe with my friend who also loves Powerwolf. Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for the kind words. Thank you so very much. I'm very happy to have you here. And thank you for sitting through the 5-hour video. And I'm very happy you enjoyed it. Are the crows even a negative stereotype? I am going to ask that question of my audience when I get to that when I get to Dumbo in the video, because I'm not American. I did not grow up in America. I visited a few times, but it's not my culture in any way. And people always talk about the crows being racist and being a horrible stereotype, and it always makes the list of top 10 racist things Disney has ever done. But apart from things like the fact that one of the crows on a model sheet is named Jim Crow, which I understand why that is not good. I completely 100% understand why that is a very, very bad joke. Whoever did the model sheets should have known better. Awful, awful, awful. I understand. And I do understand having one of the main crows be voiced by a white actor doing a black voice. I understand that. I understand why that is bad and why that is racist. But as far as the crows themselves go, I am having trouble understanding why the portrayal is racist. Because people say, oh, it's a stereotypical portrayal of what black people were viewed as in the media at the time. But the thing is, almost all the crows except for the main one are voiced by black actors who are part of the Al Johnson choir, who were formed in St. Louis in the 1920s and stuff. So the way that the crows talk in Dumbo are how those real life people talk. That is how they speak. And I'm not talking they, the black people. I'm talking black people from that period of history, from that area of America at that time spoke like that. So the actors are speaking and behaving in the way that they do in real life when doing their shows. So I'm a little confused. And the thing is about the main crow being voiced by a white actor, which is not good. That is bad. But the white actor who plays him, he was a very famous vaudeville star. And at the time of Dumbo, he was extremely low on money for various reasons. He also plays Jiminy Cricket. And the reason why Disney kept giving him voice work roles is because the man had no money. That was a way for him to make money, and because he was friends with a lot of people working at Disney, they were basically trying to help him stay afloat by giving him voice acting roles. So it's bad that he's voicing a crow and doing a stereotypical black accent, but it's not like they took a well-known actor and just put him on stage because they didn't want to hire a black actor. There's a lot going on there. So again, I'm gonna have to ask my audience to just kind of educate me on that a little bit, because it is a subject matter where, because it's not my culture, it's not what I grew up in, it's not what I'm used to, I might need a little bit more context for it, because I'm struggling to see why it gets on lists as like the top 10 worst racist things Disney has ever done, when Disney has done some horribly racist things in some other movies and shorts, and the crows don't even come close. So that's something that's going to be an interesting talking point. The difference between original Morticia and Wednesday Morticia is that the old actress looked regal. No disrespect to the new actress, but she didn't pull it off well. You know what? I've actually heard somebody else say that. Somebody said that Catherine Zeta-Jones is a little bit too soft to play Morticia. So it's interesting that you say the same thing, where she's good, but she's not giving Morticia. So that's interesting. By the comic version of Gomez, do you mean the recent CG movies? No. I mean the original comic from the 1930s, when did it end? The comic that was going on in the New Yorker before the 1960s TV show, like the original comic. The crows are more of a timepiece than a negative stereotype, although it does not help we live in times of overly sensitive and claiming everything is racist. Yeah, but like the rows were claimed to be racist even before that. I remember reading cracked articles like before YouTube was as big as it is, like when YouTube was just kind of getting started. Cracked was writing articles, and one of the like top 10 most racist Disney things Disney has ever done, and the crows would be on that list. So this isn't a modern thing. This is a thing that people have been saying for like literally decades by this point. Oops. If it was like a recent thing, I would just be like, oh yeah, no, I understand that people might take issue with this, but because it's such... It's a thing people have been complaining about for such a long time. That's also why I'm a bit confused. And again, it's not my culture, it's not my country, so it would be interesting to kind of ask that and see what people comment in the video, because I think it would be interesting to hear what people have to say about it. That being said, the song the crows sing in Dumbo, When I See an Elephant Fly, that is a legitimately good song. Like, that song is so catchy. It's so good. I didn't like that Illumination gave Thing an eye watch. The thing I liked about him was that they managed to express emotions through yeah, did they do that? Again, I don't really watch Illuminations movies, because why would I? You know, like, I know what I'm gonna get with Illumination, so it's like, ugh. No, I've got too many other things I can watch, things that I know will be good, and I'd rather spend my time on. Like, we were talking about Gundam. Like, I'd rather get back into Gundam and watch more of that than watch, like, Illumination's version of the Addams Family. Oops. It's really hot today, so I think my tablet registers me as pressing a button even when I've let go, just because it's so hot. So I think it thinks my finger is still on the button when I've already let go, just because of the warmth. That being said, I am interested to see what Illumination does with the Mario movie. Because the Mario trailers look very good and interesting. And I know they're trailers, they can doctor them how they want. But it will be interesting because I think Nintendo will be breathing down their necks a little bit. So maybe Nintendo can ensure some quality control there. Something good and not Disney. Check out Don Bluth movies. Several of them are good, like The Land Before Time, Secret of NIMH, and American Tail. You know, I'm very aware of Don Bluth. I do like his movies. I think a lot of them are hit or miss. But I do enjoy more of them than I dislike them. Let me put it that way. I really like Titan AE. Like, apparently a lot of people don't, but I like Titan AE. I think that is a genuinely great movie. Somebody's already Google translated the trailers. It's hilarious. Oh no. I still have to watch the second trailer that dropped. I haven't seen it because I want to watch Vinny react to it, and I just haven't gotten to it. I was watching Vinny watch the Game Awards because he uploaded his video of the Game Awards last night, and it was like, I think it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I was like, I need to go to bed. I can't watch a 3-hour reaction to the Game Awards starting at 1:30 in the morning. So I was watching that before the stream, but I haven't finished it yet. Titan EA has stuck in my mind for years thanks to that one lady with the legs. Her design was so unique. Yeah! Titan EA is good. It's got some great things going for it. And the world building is great. Like, it's kind of like Mass Effect, but not really. But it reminds me a lot of Mass Effect, even though I watched it before I played Mass Effect. But I think the reason I like Titan AE is similar reasons why I like Mass Effect in terms of world building and aliens and design and stuff. That explains the budget and story. Just going back in the chat, seeing if I missed anything. No, it looks like I'm good. I didn't miss any tags or anything like that. Titan AE is Treasure Planet, but somehow a bigger bomb. Yeah. I am very confused about Treasure Planet because when I went to animation college, all my lecturers hated that movie. Like, they would all be like, oh, it's, Treasure Planet. Oh, sorry, it's my phone. Treasure Planet is so awful. I hate Treasure Planet. And then I would ask them why. I once asked them, why do you hate Treasure Planet so much? Why do all of you hate Treasure Planet so much? And the only straight answer I could get was that the character designs don't mesh well, which I don't agree with. So I'm not entirely sure why it's so hated amongst a lot of my animation lecturers. Like, so many of them hate that movie, and I don't understand why, quite frankly. Treasure Planet is good too. Disney needs to go back to 2D. They do, but that's a complicated thing because what it boils down to, aside from all the other complicated reasons why they don't want to go back to 2D, a big one is 2D animators have a union and CG animators do not have a union. And that's literally what it boils down to. Meaning they have to pay the 2D animators more, whereas CG animators, they can basically run like a sweat factory. Going back and realizing that Treasure Planet's Ben was fully CG and blends in seamlessly is crazy. It's similar to like the Iron Giant. When I found out the Iron Giant is completely CG, that blew my mind. Had a great premise, literally the anti-Death Star, but the CG 2D mix was janky. In Titan AE, yeah, I will say that. That's kind of... It didn't age great. But at least the visuals were interesting. Because they did a lot of CG, but they did CG with things where, even though the CG didn't age great, it was at least interesting to look at. I remember reading... Oh, hey, Roz. I remember reading a book, and one complaint was Silver's design. Which, yeah, I kind of agree. Maybe. I think it's difficult for me to say because I love how well Silver's arm, which is CG, blends with the 2D animation. So it's difficult because I'm so impressed by that singular piece of animation that it's difficult to like disengage my brain from how impressed I am and look at it objectively. He looked too human to be alien, but too alien to be human. Ah, okay. That makes sense, I guess. Yeah, I can see how people would like have a problem with that. America had such a unique take on 2D animation, and it's a shame we got shoveled towards adult animation that really isn't pleasant. Yeah, it's getting slightly better, I think, because a lot of 2D animators are working on like their own projects or trying to get indie stuff off the ground. And even if the money isn't there to do like a big massive 2D movie without crowdfunding or something of the like, at least there are places like YouTube that allow some 2D animation to get out in some degree. Hello, Diamond. Hello, I just joined the stream. What did I miss? I have been drawing Sonic for a wintry theme because we are free from the jail that is High Guardian Spice. And then I was like, oh no, now I actually have to think about what I need to draw for this stream. So we decided we're going to draw Sonic. I was thinking either that or maybe Pokemon, but we went with Sonic. I'm busy watching Snapcube's playthrough of Sonic Frontiers and really enjoying it actually, so I thought it would be cool. He's a little challenging just because of how specific his character design is, but I think I'm doing okay. Especially to like draw and chat at the same time and not let the stream like deteriorate into just a bunch of dead air of me not saying anything. So I think I'm doing okay. And my tablet in this heat keeps thinking I'm pressing buttons I'm not, just because it's so hot. So it's like, oh, you're still holding down the button. I'm like, no, I've moved on. I'm not pressing that anymore. I think that's everything. I mean, I know the tree, but I think that's everything on Sonic. Yeah. bring this down. New layer. I'm just gonna color it so I know what it is. And I was thinking, I think it's under pencil. Yeah. Oh, we should actually do the background first, otherwise I don't know what color I'm going to go for. So we'll go with that and that, I think. Oops, wrong button. There we go. No, other way around. Okay. Okay, now we can do the tree. Ralph Bakshi? What are you saying about Ralph Bakshi? One of the first cartoon movies to use CG was Star Chaser: The Legend of Orin. The models were rendered in wireframe but printed out and hand painted. Still looks good. Really? I didn't know Orin actually used CG. That's fascinating. That's another movie I feel I should talk with. Because, hot take, I think Legend of Orin is a better Star Wars movie than any of the sequel movies. Like, I legitimately think that Legend of Orin is a far better Disney movie than anything that was put out by Disney. And I legitimately mean that. I don't mean that as like an ironic statement. I legitimately mean that. A little darker than that. A little bigger. Had a bit of Matrix in it too. Yeah, it kind of did, didn't it? So, CPAF, would you call someone a genius for throwing away months of work? Because I saw a video that just said that unfortunately changed to live chat instead of top chat. Oh, I see what you mean. It depends really. I've got a big archivist's mindset, so I don't like throwing away anything. Really, I like backing things up, even if it's removed from like public access. I am a big proponent of not deleting or getting rid of things. And I know there are people who work completely differently and they have like perfectly valid reasons as to why, but that's just me. Actually, I should be giving the tree first before I do the branches, so I can paint over it. Let's grab this color here. There we go. So, oh, I remember how to do this. No, wait, before I do that, I want to give this a bit of depth. So I'm going to bring this up a little bit, bring this. Because it's blending, I can do it a bit more. Oh, CPUF, that is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to that dude's stupid video on the Thief of the Cobbler. Oh, I see. Okay. Thief of the Cobbler is such a weird thing that exists. Just the Thief of the Cobbler in general. It's a very strange movie in terms of its existence or non-existence. I think I went a bit too straightforward with the green here. I think I should have blended in a little bit of blue or something. But I'm not going to spend too much time here because, as I've said before, I can fiddle around with things and mess with things, and then we could be sitting here for 5 hours and my throat will not survive. That the movie even saw the light of day is nothing short of a miracle. Yes. And like, I'm not even talking about the studio cut of the movie seeing the light of day. I mean the fact that the movie, as the very strange half completed thing exists, that is insane to me, that managed to be a thing that got out for people to view. Williams has talent, but he sent his workers to hell and back. The higher-ups had to step in and finish the movie because they're burning too much money on something that won't come out. Yeah, but it's more complicated than that. The situation was a lot more than just that. Because Williams had been making the movie for 30 years on individual funding. And eventually it got to the point where the movie was almost completed, and then he went to his studio and said, I need money to finish this movie. And they said, okay, but if you sign with us, then when this deadline hits, the movie has to come out whether you feel it's completed or not. And Williams said yes, and then inevitably the movie was not completed to the degree he wanted it to be by the deadline, so the studio took it away from him and finished it up with a different director, and he lost his access to it and his rights to it completely. So that's what happened there. It wasn't just a case of him signing up with a movie distributor and saying, let's make a movie, and then not delivering. The movie had been in production for years and years and years, like almost decades, before he went to a studio for funding. The recobbled portion? No, the actual film. And that's what the studio cut is. The studio cut is the movie that they took away from Williams, and then added songs, cut a lot of scenes, added dialogue to a lot of scenes. They gave Tack dialogue, because in the original movie Tack doesn't talk. He has one line of dialogue right at the end, voiced by Sean Connery for some reason that completely escapes me. And they added songs, and they gave the princess, they basically turned her into Princess Jasmine, where she doesn't want to be a princess anymore, she wants freedom and all of that. Like, all of that was done by the studio after they took it away from Williams. Like, none of that is in the original movie. That's not what I meant to do, but it's okay. Oh, I see what happened. Ah! Hold on. There we go. Sorry about that. Make this a bit smaller. The other thing I was thinking of drawing, but I decided against it, was somebody suggested before I started streaming if I wanted to go back to drawing Discord, but from My Little Pony, that Discord, not Discord the app. But I decided against it. I love Discord, but I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know. I wasn't feeling pony content right now. Which is funny because, I mean, Discord is one of my favorite characters of all time. And I'm like, nah, I don't feel like drawing him today. But I will draw Sonic, which is a fandom I'm not part of at all. So... Mr. Williams also reached out to a Saudi prince. What? Really? I didn't hear that. I'm gonna have to look up, like, what the video you're talking about said about that, because I didn't know about that. He missed the deadline for that guy as well. Yeah. The problem with Williams is that he was a perfectionist. And he was the kind of perfectionist which allowed his perfectionism to stop him from getting things finished. You know that they say it's better to have something done than to have it perfect? Now, Williams was a guy who unfortunately was unable to do that when working for himself, basically. When he wasn't working for a studio, he was unable to get things finished because he was such a perfectionist. And he's like, no, it's not perfect. No, it's not done. I still have so much I need to add, etc. Blah, blah, blah. And that's what happened. But as somebody said, it's a miracle that the recobbled cut managed to exist in any form whatsoever. Like, that's insane. Because he chose to animate a long, complex animation instead of just something short and sweet. His wife left him over it? Oh, jeez. Yeah, but at the same time, I kind of get it. The man was an eccentric. I guess you could compare him to Stanley Kubrick in many ways. In terms of, not so much in terms of filmmaking, but in terms of the perfectionism. And like what a monster that perfectionist mindset can be, and how much it can just kneecap your creative productions and projects. Oh, his wife left him before that? Okay. I watched I guess it's a commentary. I don't want to say director's commentary because it wasn't with Kubrick. I watched the commentary by the man who invented the Steadicam. He and an autobiographer did a commentary on The Shining. And they were talking about Kubrick's perfectionism and how at some points during production, they literally had to lie to Kubrick about certain things. Because if they told him the truth, Kubrick would get so wrapped up in fixing and perfecting that part of it that the movie would go way too long. And they were having a problem with the actor who plays the little boy Danny, because that actor was physically growing up as they were making the movie. Like, that actor is physically older by the end of the movie than he is at the start of the movie. So they had to like lie to Kubrick about certain parts of production just so that Kubrick's perfectionism wouldn't completely kneecap the movie further, because they did not have the time. You ruined your project and you don't know how to fix it? What happened? What did you do? Have you watched Doctor Strangelove? I wish more comedy was approached in this way. I have watched Doctor Strangelove, but I have to rewatch it, because at the point of watching it, I wasn't as clued up on the exact atmosphere of when that movie came out. So I understood what was going on and what they were making fun of, but I feel it's a movie I would probably get a lot more out of watching it now than I got out of it when I watched it originally. I tried to change the length of the frame and now all my screenshots are all over the place. Oh no! I don't know if I can give you advice on how to fix that. I returned just in time for talk of The Shining. Yes, you do. Welcome back, Prophet. It's actually online on YouTube. There is a commentary by an autobiographer and the inventor of the Steadicam, where they commentate on The Shining. And obviously you don't have the movie running in the background because the person who uploaded can't upload the movie, but he's got still shots and screenshots of specific points that they're talking about at the right time. And I mean, if you've seen The Shining, you know what part of the movie they're talking about. And I highly recommend it. It's really interesting. But of course, watch The Shining first. If you haven't seen The Shining first. Unless you know how to save me from the torture of CapCut, then no, I'm afraid I have no knowledge of that kind. You're on your own in terms of that. This is very dirty. I don't like this. So Kubrick had all of the models and props for 2001 destroyed so they couldn't be recycled for cheap sci-fi movies, which was a problem when they had to film the sequel. You know what? That makes perfect sense. That sounds 100% like something Kubrick would do. And you know what? It's not even that unfounded a fear, because that happened a lot. Because like even in Ghostbusters, the PKE meter that Egon uses in Ghostbusters is actually a prop from the original Star Trek series. In fact, I say that, but then again, like 90% of the original Star Trek is that, because 90% of the Star Trek is the production team going, okay, what other movies and TV shows are they shooting around us, whose costumes and sets we can use to make an episode? I still have the screenshot, so I'ma just restart. Oh no, I'm so sorry, it's the worst. Speaking of which, everybody save your projects. If you're drawing along, save your project. I've only seen The Shining through that abridged version in Ready Player One. Oh no, please. Please don't base your knowledge of The Shining on Ready Player One. The Shining is great. It's legitimately like one of the scariest movies ever. Well, I say scary, that's not the right word. The Shining has a certain vibe to it, which is completely unreplicated in any movie I've seen. Even if you don't find it scary, it's got a vibe to it, which is very specific and unnerving. I can do more complicated stuff than I could in Windows Movie Maker, but at what cost? Don't worry, I know it has more going for it. I just never felt in the mood to watch it. Yeah, I understand that. You have to be like in a specific mood for it, because it's not just like, oh, I want to watch a horror movie, I'm gonna watch The Shining, you know. It's not the kind of movie. You can't just go, oh, I'm in the mood for a horror, I heard The Shining is good, let me just watch that. Because no. You have to be in the mood for The Shining to watch The Shining. Windows Movie Maker never flung my frames into the abyss. I use Filmora, which I don't think I've ever had a problem with Filmora in terms of yeeting my work. I'm currently playing Dead by Daylight with some friends at the moment. Otherwise, I'd be working on the 25 expression challenge for my character Ponzi. Both her and that challenge are therapeutic for me. Oh, cool. Excellent. Okay, this tree I fiddled enough with. I could make it look a lot better. I could make it look a lot more realistic, but we are not here for me to draw trees. We are here for me to draw Sanic. So that is going to have to be it. A very simplistic tree, but that is what we've got. No, I don't want that one. I want this one. Grab the colors. Oh, I'm going to do that thing which I need to do more of, where you turn this layer into a lighthouse, and then you select refer other layers, and then turn close gap on. You can kind of do this. Well, you can do this. Oh wait, I didn't do that line properly. Hold on. Where instead of doing a bunch of things with the magic wand and back and forth, you can just literally use the fill key, the fill tool, and fill in as needed. Oh, I see the mistake I made. I see how this went wrong. There we go. Close that, lock that, go here. This color, paint bucket. Okay. I think my favorite horror movie is The Ritual. The character arc of the main dude speaks to me, shouting at the monsters, that is. I still need to watch The Ritual, but I hear it's very good. Oopsie, need to close gap a bit more than that. There we go. Okay. This color. I must hide my neck privileges from society. Grab this. Highlights. There we go. Socks. I think the bottom of his shoes are just white as well. Yeah, kind of. Oops. There we go. I have mixed feelings when it comes to horror movies. Personally, I don't see the point if the characters die in the end after we got attached to them. Unless you hate the characters, that is. But then it's just petty. Yeah, horror movies in terms of punishing the main characters is a bit of a difficult point. Most of the time, I don't like the concept of killing off characters. However, there has been one or two movies where I feel... it's difficult to explain, where you feel like the character dying is the right thing to do for the end of the story. And a good example of this, and it's a weird example, is Pacific Rim. I remember watching Pacific Rim in the movie theater and being very, very upset that the main character doesn't die in the end, because the way that story is structured, the main character dying at the end is the logical end to that story. And not logic as in like, oh well, he wouldn't survive, that kind of thing. No, logic as in for the emotional journey that this movie is going through, that is how the story should end. Why are you not registering my my thing here? Again, my tablet is kind of freaking out at the moment because it's very hot, so it thinks I'm pressing buttons that I'm not because of the heat. That's the entire point, fill that brush with death. Main M and F characters also don't kiss, which is great. Yeah. My character has decided that I'm no longer allowed to use the hand tool, which is very strange to me. Doing this one and this one. Grab this. Oh, and I also want to do this. I think a horror movie which just kind of cops out and goes, okay, and then they all die at the end. Like, that's kind of bullshit. Like, I agree with you in that. I'm just thinking, like, for the most part, I'm trying to think, because most of the horror movies I watch, the character doesn't die at the end, because that's kind of not the narrative of the story. It's very rare that I watch a horror movie where the ending is that the character dies. Hold on. Sorry, excuse me. That one came out of nowhere. I think the goal of horror movies killing the main character at the end is to prove that a situation is hopeless, to add another layer of fear. But this almost never works since too many B movies have abused this, and it just isn't scary anymore. You know what? That's a good point. I think that's a very good way of, like, explaining it as well. Because I'm thinking, like, my favorite horror movies, a lot of them come from... I don't want to say a lot of them. Some of my favorite horror movies are very, very, very old. And they tend to not really operate on the and then everybody dies ending. The one I referenced a lot in the Halloween video was The Innocents, which is one of my favorite horror movies. That movie is terrifying. And it doesn't end with the main character dying, so that's one. Carnival of Souls. That one kind of ends... Okay, that's a good example. If you haven't seen Carnival of Souls and you want to, this is a spoiler. But in Carnival of Souls, the main character dies at the end. But the reason why is because the entire point of that movie is she survives a car crash where everyone else dies. And the entire rest of the movie is her feeling like something's off. Like, she feels detached from the world. She feels stalked by people that she's not sure who they are, but they seem to have some kind of agenda. And then at the end of the movie, she dies. And it's interesting because it's basically like an extended episode of The Twilight Zone. That's how I would explain that movie. So that's one movie that I really like, where the character dies at the end. But again, it's not for shock value. That's the story. It's the entire plot of the movie. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Talking about this reminds me of the movie 1408. In the theatrical version of the movie, the main character lived to the end, but in the home release, they had him die instead. There's a few movies like that. Not many, but there are a good few that are like that. The Butterfly Effect is one. Like, the version of the Butterfly Effect I saw and the version my mom saw were, like, completely different. We had completely different endings. And the other one, which is like that, which is a big famous one, is the movie Brazil. And Brazil had a happy ending in the Americas, and in England, where it originally aired, it had a very, very dour ending, which the dour ending is much better. But I don't know. They decided the Americans wouldn't enjoy the original ending. They thought that they would find pressing, even though that's the entire point of the movie. So it depends. Because that's another one. Like in Brazil, he doesn't die at the end, but when you see Brazil, it's like, well, him dying at the end would have been a happy ending, quite frankly, because of the ending he is given. This red is really aggressive. I'm going to bring it down a bit for the scarf. I'm trying to think. Because again, it's difficult to discuss because inevitably, if I talk about movies where the main character dies at the end, I'm spoiling the movie. So I'm thinking of like really good movies where the main character dies at the end, and I'm like, oh, that's a good one, but I shouldn't really talk about it because it'll spoil it. I'm actually gonna grab this one here. Hey CPuff, what is your opinion on the "it was all a dream" trope? 99% of the times I hate it. Like really hate it. There is a book I read when I was in what's the English word? Like not high school, the school you're in before high school. And it was about cats, and it ends with the main character waking up and it was all a dream, and I was so angry. I was like, I don't know, 13 or something, and I was livid with that ending. I think there is a way to do it that it's good, but 99% of the time it feels just lazy. Like the author didn't know how to get out of a situation and basically wrote themselves into a corner and then had it all be a dream. The "it was all a dream" ending, it kind of depends on you having that be the concept from the very beginning. You can't just add it because you didn't know what to do afterwards. Like you had to build up to it being a dream. Like the fact the character wakes up and it's a dream all along has to be the point of the story. It can't just be, oh well, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to get my characters out of this situation, so story's over, it was all a dream. Like you can't do it that way. Middle school, is that what it's called? Personally, I much prefer happy endings, but sometimes I get that itch for unending horror, like in Dead Space, because the endings are supposed to remind you of Lovecraft themes. Yeah, kind of. Because I keep thinking about the movie M. I really like the movie M. It's fantastic. It's just the letter M, by the way. The movie M is fascinating. It's definitely a horror movie, but the movie is really unpleasant in terms of its subject matter. But that's a movie where it doesn't have a happy ending, but nobody dies at the end. It's the M is an interesting one because M tackles such a difficult subject matter. It's like, okay, well, how do you end a movie that is talking about these topics? We don't have middle school in SA, primary and high school. Yeah, so it would be primary school. Yeah, because in Afrikaans, you've got what translates into English as high school and low school. So those are the two we have. We have high school and low school, but that's not what it's called in English. Do you think Nightmare on Elm Street matches this criteria? No, Nightmare on Elm Street, that's an interesting one though, because the ending of Nightmare on Elm Street was not supposed to be the ending. Right? The ending was supposed to be that, not Nancy, what's her name? Is it Nancy? The main girl character in Nightmare on Elm Street is supposed to get away at the end, but the studio added the ending that's in the movie because they wanted sequels, so they didn't want Freddy to just be killed off. So that's why the ending of Nightmare on Elm Street ends the way it does. So it's an iconic ending, but it's basically there because the studio wanted to keep making money. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. Nancy. Okay. I got confused for a second because I was suddenly thinking of what's the witch, The Craft, and the main antagonist girl in The Craft is named Nancy. So for a second there I got very confused whether I was remembering the wrong name. This red is really aggressive. I actually don't like how saturated this red is, so I'm just going to change it quick. There we go, that's better. Okay. Maybe a different screen here. Okay. Yes, that's much better. Sorry, that was just really bothering me. Lock this layer so I don't accidentally draw in it. Vanilla Sky is one of the better films where the character questions their reality. I need to watch Vanilla Sky. I heard that's very good. I often get, I know they're nothing alike, but I get that one and Eternal Sunshine mixed up, and I don't know why. Neither of which I've seen, by the way. Actually, let me do this. There we go. It's like he's completely shading his eyes. There. And then I just want to give him some shading under his shoes and under the scarf. And I'll put a little bit of pattern on the scarf. Because again, I don't want to be here for forever. What am I doing? Oh, I'm grabbing this color. That's what it is. Okay, see you, Prophet. Thanks for dropping by. Horror story idea. A person has recurring nightmares of past trauma, but warped to make it even more terrifying. I feel like that's not been done, but that's a concept that has been put into films before, but I can't think of any right this second. I keep thinking of the movie Possum, which... Don't watch the movie Possum. It's not good for you. It's a great movie, but it'll just upset you for, like, the rest of your life. But I feel like Possum might kind of play into that a little bit. Possum is a rough movie. Don't watch Possum. Watch a different horror movie, even if it's about a similar subject matter, but Possum is just upsetting. It's very upsetting, very dark, not a fun time at all. I got to go for lunch. If I'm not back in time, toodles. Thank you so much, and thanks for dropping by. I'm probably not going to be on that much longer. I'm just finishing up here, and then I will say goodbye as well, because I don't want to be here all evening. But just because my throat can't handle it. That's why I say I don't want to be here. It's not because I don't want to be here. It's because my throat will die. It's not because I don't enjoy streaming. I just realized I keep saying it that way. When... No, no, I do. I enjoy being here. It's just my throat. Here we go. Hey, Rattle. Thank you. I'm glad you like him. I struggled a bit drawing him just because he's not a character I draw very often, and his design is so specific, but I think it came out okay. Let's do that. Do that. And I'm going to grab the blue. Grab the red. Maybe make it a little bit lighter. I want to see if I can get like some refraction going in here, because I think it'll look good. Here we go. And now I can do like push that and go to marker, flat marker. And it's too big. Something like that. He's wiping sweat off his head. Oh no! It's nice to see more South Africans on YouTube. Yeah, thank you. I've said this story before, but it took me such a long time to start doing YouTube just because I was so self-conscious of my voice. Because I'm like, I don't have an American or British accent. It's going to confuse people. And they're going to be like weirded out and be unable to understand what I'm saying because they're not used to the accent. Eternal Sunshine is my favorite film, though people say you can't understand it if you haven't been through a breakup, particularly a bad one, but who knows. I think it depends, because there are a lot of things where I haven't been through what's being portrayed in the movie, but I get the emotions. I think it depends like how empathetic you are towards certain characters. I get that what it's saying, like, because my big thing is I don't enjoy the movie The Big Lebowski, and part of it is I think it's because I'm not American. and I've never really experienced American culture the way it's portrayed in The Big Lebowski, so I can recognize why it's funny. Like I can see the joke play out, and I'm like, I understand why this is funny. But because it's not an experience I've had, I can't see it as actually being funny because I haven't experienced the situation it's making fun of. Like when it's making fun of like the pretentious art collectors in Los Angeles, I'm like, I understand what the joke is, but because this isn't an experience I've had, I cannot laugh at it because I am merely experiencing it through secondhand information, kind of. I thought you were British. No, no, thanks. No, I'm South African. South Africa's English-speaking population comes from England. We were a British colony up until 1961. So we tend to have a very British-influenced English-speaking population. So that's probably why. And I went to English high school. I'm doing more to this drawing than I should be doing on stream, but I'm always like, no, but I can make this look good. I can make this look better if I just spend a little bit more time on it. So that's my toxic trait. I might have to go a little bit darker here. At some point, like when I think if I ever reach a very high subscriber number, I'll do like a stream where I fully go into like a full colored piece from start to finish. It'll be a very long stream, but that's something I'll do once I hit a certain milestone, I think, because I think it could be fun. Because then I can go and like show all the like really detailed, focused coloring and stuff I do and things like that. So that might be interesting, something people can enjoy. And there's just one or two things I want to add to this, and I'm going to call it a stream. Same with Hong Kong. Yeah, that makes sense. I thought you were Afrikaans. I am Afrikaans. I went to English high school, but I speak Afrikaans at home. And because I've moved to the south, I've moved to the coast, I basically barely speak English out loud anymore. I speak English with my family. I speak Afrikaans with my family, and because we're in the south now, I speak Afrikaans with most people I meet in stores and people I know here and such. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to just add a little bit of this. Okay, yeah, it does run. A bit bigger, make it smaller again, like this, bring up the intensity, very small, all the way right, bring up the intensity. I'm actually going to blend it a little bit, otherwise it looks... There we go. And now I want to... Oh, I know what else I can do. Again, I'm faffing around now instead of calling it, but I'm doing that thing where I know, add this, because this will look good. Inverse, overlay. Do this. This. I can't remember how to do it so that the one side... no, that's not it. There's a way to do it so that one is see-through and the other one isn't. I'm not going to mess with it right now. It's going to take too long. And now I just want to add some of this. Go here, go effect. Make this bigger. Where's particle size? Particle size. There we go. Hey, Soda. Yeah. I see we are drawing the blue blur. Yes, we are. I've been watching Snapcube play Sonic Frontiers, and she has been really enjoying it. So I thought that we would draw some Sonic. Or I asked, and the chat said they would like to see Sonic. Same, except it's a mix of American Britanism. I heard Elon speaking and realized that's what I sound like. I am jealous. I have the insanely boring New Zealand accent, which is the most bland of the US accents. I'm gonna switch over to here. I blame TV for the American. Yeah, see, that's something I have a lot as well. Due to television and movies and such, the English accent, I like, it sounds quite British, but if you compare it to the way I speak English to a way that a lot of other South Africans speak English, there is actually a lot of American in my English, and it's due to TVs and movies and things like that. So I've got the same problem. So this is Sonic. I will probably just tidy him up a little bit. I just want to add a gradient effect. Oh, you know what I can do? I can grab this. I just realized. Grab this. I've turned off my tablet now, but I'm just going to do this quickly. Make it very big and turn the density back down to 30. And just... no. Where is the flats? Here it is. Wand. Hello? Oh. Select. Inverse. Here. Soft brush. Just like that. There we go. That's all I wanted to do. Okay, now I'm done. I'm done for real, because otherwise I'm gonna keep going for like 3 more hours, depending on what I do. I just keep going and going and going. So yes, next video is coming along well. I think I said this earlier, I have like 2 or 3 more movies to watch, and I'm writing as I'm watching. So the script is basically done. I'll just have to proofread it maybe once or twice and make sure that I'm not repeating myself too much, because I have that thing, especially when I write, where I say something and then I want to clarify what I'm saying. So then I try and say it in a different way than I did the first time, but I just end up saying the exact same thing because the way I said it the first time was the best way to say it. So I just need to edit out times when I do that, because it's redundant and it just tacks on extra time to the video, which it just lengthens it, which you don't need. You don't need that much talking. So that's what I'm doing next, and I should have that out. Well, not should. I very, very possibly will have it out this month, and it shouldn't be that big a deal. Depending if Disney tries and kills me with a copyright claim, but they shouldn't, because I'm going to be using a lot of screenshots and things similar to how I did with High Guardian Spice, but I won't be using as long video clips as I did in High Guardian Spice, because High Guardian Spice was very lenient with how much footage it would let me get away with. I have a feeling Disney will not be very lenient, so I'm just going to have to be very careful with my editing. And I won't really be putting any of the music or songs into it at all, because I can't see myself getting away with it. But that's the next big thing. So that's what I'm doing next. Almost done script-wise, and considering script takes the longest for me, the fact that the script is almost done means the majority of the work is basically done. Because when I edit, depending on the video, it takes me maybe a week to 3 days, depending on what I'm working on, and then the video is done. So, and then it goes up on Patreon, and then a week later it goes public. So, and even if I release the video late, I will still make it public before the end of the year, so that it'll be out for you guys. I'm going to cover the animated films with the racial slurs. I am going to be covering Dumbo. What are the other ones? I will be covering Peter Pan. I'm not going to mention the racism in Fantasia that was edited out. I make reference to it when I talk about Dumbo, but I'm not really going to go into that, because the thing is with the racism is so many people have covered the racism in Disney. So if it's just something small like in Fantasia, I don't need to discuss it because lots of people have discussed it. But with the crows, you have to talk about the crows in Dumbo. You can't talk about Dumbo and ignore that. And with Peter Pan, I think the racism in Peter Pan is a lot worse than in Dumbo. So I kind of do want to mention how bad it is, because I'm like, I don't understand how Dumbo gets all this hate, but Peter Pan, people don't really talk about how racist that movie is. So it will be brought up, but it's not going to be that controversial a talking subject. It'll just be like, yeah, this is this is something Disney did. It's not cool. You know? Hey, Hunter. And who is your favorite Sonic character? Mine is Tails, but I really like Amy too. I think Knuckles. I think Knuckles is my favorite. Just because he's kind of an idiot, and I like that. He's a big, dumb, strong guy who has, like, really strong morals. He's got, like, really strong morals. And I like that he's older than Sonic. I know it's just by a year, but I like that he's like a year older than most of the cast, excluding like the extra characters like Rouge and stuff. So I like that of the main group, he's kind of supposed to be the big brother to all of them, but he's also kind of dumb, so he doesn't really do the big brother role very well. And I like that he kind of just wants to sit on his island alone and not be bothered, and constantly he gets dragged into everyone else's shenanigans. Like, I'm really attracted to that character of his. I like Sonic too, but I feel Sonic sometimes isn't allowed to have a personality. But that's why I liked Sonic Frontiers watching Snapcube play it, because I'm like, holy shit, Sonic actually has a personality. Wow. So that's one thing, because I know he has character in the comics. Sorry, it's my desk creaking. I know he has character in the comics, but it's nice to see that actually in the game. Whereas in the past, his character was so one-dimensional. There wasn't really anything to get into there. But I like Knuckles. Sorry, long-winded way to say I like Knuckles. I think Knuckles is cool. Love how the red looks. Thank you. Yeah, I toned it down a little. It was a little bit too saturated and my eyes were like begging me to change it. Sonic is essentially cool Mario in the early days. Yeah, even in like Sonic Adventure, a Sonic Adventure is fine. It's a very rudimentary story. The way the story is told is very rudimentary. It's a good story. Both the first and second one, they're good stories. They're just told in a very straightforward, very simplified way. And it's fine, it just means there's not a lot for me to sink my teeth into, and I don't think Sonic really has a character apart from being cool. Whereas now, especially with Sonic Frontiers, I really love the way they interpreted his character. And again, I know that comes from the comics, it's just nice to see it play out like on screen in an actual video game. Sonic 2006 is the best game ever. I will admit, even though I've never played it, I've gotten so much joy out of watching other people play Sonic 06. I watched Matt McMuscles and Liam play all of Sonic 06, and it was fantastic. I highly recommend that playthrough, because they're Q&A testers. They used to test video games for a living. It's what they did. So when Sonic 06 is frustrating, they didn't get frustrated. They would just burst out laughing because they're so used to dealing with this kind of thing. So that was great. I really enjoyed Choctopus playing through Sonic 06 and suffering. I love Snapcube's real-time fan dub of Sonic 06. So yes, it's a horrible, terrible game, but it has given me so much enjoyment that I can't say I dislike it, because it's great. Sonic is a no-nonsense character in the Japanese version. The West just likes to market his character as everything 90s. You know what? That's a good point. Sonic CD has a hella good soundtrack, though, especially if you're into EDM. Yeah, no, Sonic CD is great. Like, Sonic CD has some really good music in it. Oh, yeah, there is another game for the GBA released in 2006. It was a port of Sonic 1. Ah, okay. Hey Dark Frost Star, yeah, you're just catching me at the end here. We drew Sonic because we no longer have to draw High Guardian Spice. We're free. But we have to think about what we're drawing now. So, double-edged sword, but I think we did okay. I had a little bit of trouble because Sonic has such a simplified design, so if you get something wrong, it's really noticeable. But I think I did okay. So, I should practice Sonic a little bit. Maybe, because I'll probably still be watching Snapcube, so maybe in January we'll do Sonic again, or we'll do something else. We don't have to do Sonic. But we'll see if I can draw him a little bit better, because I'm enjoying Snapcube's playthrough. I'm enjoying Sonic having a personality and being cool. All of that. And I'm enjoying seeing him and Knuckles interact in Sonic Frontiers. It's really fun. I really enjoy that. I don't know. I'm really enjoying Sonic Frontiers, I think is what I'm saying. I'm not playing it myself, but I'm enjoying watching it being played, and I am enjoying Snapcube having the biggest fangirl moment of her life playing that game. So I'm enjoying the game, even though I'm not playing it. Maybe we can draw magical characters now. Oh yeah, absolutely, we can do that too. I am 100% okay with that. I can probably get that down on paper a little easier than Sonic, quite frankly, just because I understand how a human character works in terms of drawing a lot better, and I know how to draw frills and things, so that would be cool. Yeah, maybe we'll do that next time. Oh, Dark Frost Star, you might be interested. I was saying that maybe an anime I'm thinking of covering is Full Moon no Sagashite. Because I really like that anime and I never see people talk about it. I do run the risk of nobody clicking on the video because it's not a hot topic and it's kind of niche, and it's this anime from like 2003, so people might not watch it, so it might be a bad idea for the channel. But that is a subject matter I think would be cool. And maybe, I'm just thinking, because maybe we'll draw the main character whose name I forget because my brain's failing me today. But that could be cool as well. American Indians are a bit more in the minority compared to black people. Yeah, I guess so. But that's not really an excuse for Peter Pan being more racist than Dumbo, is it? I've been recently watching videos on the Sonic IDW comics by a YouTuber called The Game Apologist, and I recommend checking them out. Okay, I definitely will, because I recently read all of Thanks Ken Penders' blog. Like, all of it. I have gone through every single issue of the Sonic comics through that blog. So, seeing like a video format go over the IDW comics would be really cool. And IDW does good stuff. They did good Pony comics, they did good Transformer comics. They tend to know what they're doing. I think they have Usagi Yojimbo at the moment as well. I'm pretty sure Usagi, Usagi's not with Boom, so he's with IDW. Yeah, so IDW is great. If they have Usagi Yojimbo, they are automatically a great comic company. Just for having Usagi Yojimbo. So I'm going to be wrapping up because it is 10:30 here. And so if anybody's got any last things to ask or mention or talk about or bring up, now is the time. I can chat for a little bit longer and then I must go and have a lozenge and try to cool down, because it is pretty much not the middle of summer, because we have like, oh geez, we've got February, March, April, May. How much is that? We've got like 4 months of summer left, so it's not midsummer, but it's summer and it's hot and it's humid because it's gonna rain for like the next 4 or 5 days, so the humidity is out of this world at the moment. By the way, do you know The Last Unicorn? I do know The Last Unicorn. I actually met the author, Peter Beagle, at Comic-Con a few years ago. He's lovely, by the way. He's such a nice guy. And I'm so happy he's got the rights back. And I believe he's working on a sequel at the moment, because he finally can. So, yes, I'm very aware of The Last Unicorn. I love that movie. I've got the book. I need to read the book, and I've got the graphic novel, which is based on the book, not the movie. So, yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff for it. Oh man, Ken Penders is such a wild character study. Ken Penders, I don't want to bring him up, but, not Ken Penders, but Ken Penders reminds me so much of Chris Chan in like a lot of ways. In many, many ways. Not like personally, like as a person, because Ken Penders is functional as a human being, but Ken Penders and Chris Chan have so much in common. In my mind. Time frame for next vid. Do you mean in terms of how long it'll be or when it'll come out? Because it'll be out this month. I have 4 movies to watch, and the script, I have to write those 4 sections, and the rest of it is done already. So I basically just need to record it and edit it at this point. And I mean, if I watch a movie a day, that's like what, 4 days, and the script will be finished. So it should be out quite soon. How do Africans celebrate Christmas? Very similarly. One big difference is that we open presents on the 24th. What happens is we'll get together, the families, and we'll have our presents individually, where it's just like the grandparents and the children and the mother and father. And then on actual Christmas, that's when the entire family gets together and we have a big lunch. So it's not a good idea to do present opening when there's like 30 people in the house. So that's kind of the big difference between us and the Americans, I think. I'm grateful to my mom finding Watership Down and Last Unicorn for us to watch when I was 5 or 7. Oh, excellent. Yeah, that's when I watched Watership Down when I was 4. And it was very informative to me. He's also making a live action version of The Last Unicorn, which is going to be interesting to see. Oh, that'd be very cool. I love the animated version, but I think that's a movie where if you have to remake it, doing it in live action is a perfect way to transplant the same story, but give it an entirely different flavor. So I'm actually not angry at that. I'm not mad at that. I think that could be very good. Absolutely, Ken Benner's Sonic fascination is very similar to Christian's. It is! And like the way he writes Knuckles as a character and like Knuckles is back, it's very Christian. Like it's very, very much the way Christian wrote his characters, like Sonichu and stuff. It's very similar. So even though Ken Penders is like a functional person, like in society he can function as a person, a lot of his writing reminds me of Christian. And it's weird because I don't think he's a terrible writer when he started. It's like he went off the deep end the further he went along. But Ken Penders is an entire subject that could take up like 3 hours of discussion. So, your opinion on Amphibia and Owl House. I actually still need to watch both of them because I'm very slow to get to things, just in general. And I'm one of those people where I'm like, oh no, the stars have to be in the right position for me to sit down and watch this thing. It has to be the right time. I don't just go, oh, this has come out, let me sit and watch it. I like have to wait until the stars have aligned and the planets are in the right position for me to sit down and watch something. The Disney X Star Wars movie that Ghibli is doing. What do you think of that? I don't think... Is that a real thing or are you joking? Because that sounds like a joke, but at this point in time, I don't question... I don't rule things out anymore. Do you think Aladdin ripped off Thief and the Cobbler? No, I don't. I think it's a weird thing where both things were being made not at the same time, because Thief and the Cobbler came out way before. There might be some cross-pollination there, but I don't think Aladdin set out to steal Thief and the Cobbler's thunder before Thief and the Cobbler came out. It's not like an Ants in a Bug's Life situation, where Ants specifically came out to get some of the attention away from A Bug's Life, even though Ants, I think, is the better movie. I'm sorry, Ants is a much better movie than The Bug's Life. It's just a fact. Oh, it is a thing? Star Wars anime? That's a thing? I'm not big into Star Wars. And I don't mean that as in like, oh, I've never seen Star Wars, I'm not into it. I mean that as somebody who loves the first 3 movies. I really, really love those movies. And I started playing KOTOR for the first time and I really enjoy that. But I enjoy the prequels because they are terrible movies and I have terrible taste. I love watching trash. But I did not enjoy the Disney movies from what I saw. I remember watching Force Awakens when it first came out and being super excited because it's a new Star Wars movie. And halfway through the movie, I was watching it in IMAX, perfect watching conditions, perfect theater. But at some point, halfway through the movie, I remember thinking to myself, you know what? I could just walk out. I could just leave. I don't need to watch this whole movie. I mean, I didn't. I watched the whole movie, but I didn't enjoy them. And then I watched another one of the Disney sequels and I didn't enjoy that either. And I was like, you know what? This is not for me. And I don't feel like... I don't care enough to watch a bunch of Star Wars hoping it will work for me. So I just haven't really looked into the new Star Wars stuff. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm fine. I've got so much else to watch. And it's very clear that the newer Star Wars content wasn't made for me. So I don't really need to I don't need to invest that much time into it. I think Aladdin and the Thief of Cobbler just look similar because of similar cultural influences. Yeah, I think that's true. Also, it would be weird for Disney to try and copy Thief and the Cobbler, but then do both The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast first. You know, like if you're trying to rip off Thief and the Cobbler, why wouldn't you start with Aladdin and get it out well before Thief and the Cobbler is finished? You know, so I think it's just a weird coincidence that people latched onto similar ideas in the similar time, which often happens. That happens a lot. There's like an entire story about how Tom and Jerry and the Looney Tunes had a massive like legal battle because they both had a short come out within months of each other with the exact same concept, using the exact same piece of music. Like, it happens. It just happens sometimes. I was based on an old story. Yeah, no, that is true. I think The Last Jedi is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Even worse than the last one. So much of that movie is pointless and ruins character arcs. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I've watched a lot of people talking about it, so I know what happens in the movie, but I just noped out. I'm like, nah, you know what, it's fine. I'll watch what Legend of Star Chaser. I'd rather watch Legend of Star Chaser, which I still assert is a much better Star Wars movie than any of the Disney sequels. Thief and the Cobbler was in development hell for a lot longer than Disney's Aladdin and took inspiration from similar sources so that could explain it. Yeah, no, I think Thief and the Cobbler was in development for like 30 years or something. The new Star Wars trilogy was bad and disappointing. That seems to be the major consensus. But it's not even that I'm disappointed. That's the wrong word, because I didn't have my hopes built up by them at all. Like, when the very first movie came out and everybody was very excited about it and they were excited to see where it went, I did not enjoy watching that movie. So I had nothing to be disappointed in. I was just like, nah, I don't like this. I don't think this is good. So it's not even that I was disappointed by it. I was just like, nah, you know what? No. I was baffled it had more likes than dislikes. This is why removing dislikes removes democracy. I don't agree, because I watch people who talk about a problematic YouTuber, and they often discuss this person's like to dislike ratio, and this person consistently has more dislikes to likes, despite the dislike counter being disabled. So, I mean, it's still there. I know lots of people don't use it, but people use it enough. Because I've got the X-ray thing on YouTube, so I can see the likes and dislikes before I click on a video. And so the dislikes are still getting used to a large degree based on that. There's a lot of videos where I'm like, yeesh, I'm not going to watch that video. Those dislikes are a bit high. It recently came out there was some espionage that led to Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes making the same content. Oh, really? That's interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. That's fascinating. Because I always heard that it was just a coincidence. But I'm going to look into that. Because, you know what? I can believe that. Everybody Sleeps on The Last Starfighter. That's a good, rather campy sci-fi flick. It is good. Like, it's silly. And when you watch it, you're like, oh, this is a Star Wars ripoff. This is 100% trying to be Star Wars. But if you can get over the fact that it's trying to be Star Wars, it's a good movie. It's fun. That's the one thing it has going for it. It's fun to watch. You know? And it's fun to watch an animated movie that's like trying to be a hardcore sci-fi, and it's not like Gandahar or Time Chasers or Savage Planet. You know, it's not like a French movie that goes way into the art house scene. It's just a straightforward sci-fi movie, and it's animated. The only one of this Disney Star Wars movie trilogy that I liked was episode 7. I personally did not like episode 8 and 9. Yeah, that seems to be the consensus. I know lots of people like The Mandalorian, and I know Endor is getting a lot of likes, but I'm like, no. I'm busy watching Star Trek for the first time, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. And it's taken me like 3 years to get to season 3 of the new Star Trek. I'm very slow to get to things, so I can't add Star Wars to it when I'm like, I'd rather play KOTOR. I'd rather play KOTOR and figure out what the fuss is about, why people like KOTOR so much. I think I will get a lot more out of that than I will Endor or The Mandalorian, especially because KOTOR was written by BioWare before Mass Effect. So KOTOR is basically the proto Mass Effect in terms of writing, and that's a lot more interesting to me in terms of Star Wars than The Mandalorian or Endor is. I thought T&J and Bugs Bunny are owned by the same company, but then I remember MGM exists. Yeah, no, and Tom and Jerry is MGM. I think they're still MGM. Because I don't think MGM has been bought out, which is weird, considering the position MGM is in. But no, they're not owned. I don't think they're owned by Warner Brothers, both of them these days. They're trying way too hard to be woke in that Velma show. Oh, really? Ugh. The new Velma Scooby-Doo show is really weird looking, like bad humor and stuff. Scooby-Doo the dog isn't even a show. You know what it reminds me of? And it's not to do with wokeness, it's just the vibe. Is I'm watching Vinny play the new Pokemon game, and he's playing Pokemon Violet. And he recently got to the VTuber, who's a gym leader. And I cringed so hard that entire gym battle because it's so obviously like, I don't want to say adults because that's weird to say it like that. It's people who aren't into VTubers trying to write like VTuber characters, and it's super cringe, and it's super like, oh, it's super like, hello fellow kids, it's really cringe. And that's kind of the vibe I get from the Velma cartoon. It's like people who don't really understand the wokeness, but they're like, oh, let's write it so that the kids like it. And it's like, please don't. Please don't do this. I'm gonna have, or have you watched all the classic era Star Treks? Original series TNG are super good. DS9 has good merits too, and Voyager is there. What do you think? I am busy watching Star Trek for the first time. Also, hello James. I'm busy watching TNG for the first time. I'm on season 3. I'm really enjoying it. I liked season 1 quite a lot, and I couldn't understand why people hate on season 1 so much. And then I got to season 2 and I was like, oh, this is so much better than season 1. Okay, I understand now. Because I thought season 1 was fine, but just the jump in quality from season 1 to season 2 is so large. I'm like, okay, I understand. And I'm planning to watch all the other Star Trek shows. I'm planning to watch all the Star Trek shows after TNG as well. And to be honest, some of those race swaps in Velma are actually very racist, such as making the nerdy Velma Asian and stoner Shaggy black. Again, it sounds like people who don't really understand woke, I wouldn't say culture, but they don't understand making progressive cartoons, so they're trying to do it and they're just kind of not doing it correctly. Again, it strikes me like how Pokemon has a VTuber gym leader. It reminds me of that. Mindy Kaling starts the trailer by insulting the original fans in hopes the original fans will watch her show. Recipe for failure. Oof. Which one is that? Is that the Velma show, or is it like Star Trek? I don't really know celebrities, so if you guys say names, there is a 90% chance I won't recognize it. Yeah, that's really the general reactions to 2NG. Because I was like, why do people hate the first season so much? This is fine. I don't see what the problem is. And then you get to season 2 and it's so good, like shockingly good. I am actually in awe of how good it is after season 1. Because I thought season 1 was good. And I was like, I had no idea the quality jump that this was going to give me. Like, it's legitimately shocking. Hey CPuff, out of curiosity, have you heard about the controversy relating to Marvel overworking their VFX artists? I've not heard anything specific other than I am fully aware of Marvel overworking their VFX artists. And it's to do with unionization and things like that. I mentioned this a little earlier as well. This is why Disney doesn't want to make more 2D movies, because 2D animators are unionized, whereas CG animators are not. So it kind of ties into that. The Velma show. Okay, thank you. I hope you watch and enjoy all the Star Treks. It's one of my favorites. Sometimes it's fantastic, sometimes it's campy, but it's always very enjoyable, even when it's dumb. That's kind of the fun thing about Star Trek, though, is even when it's silly, because it's Star Trek, you're okay with it being silly, because you know the next one is probably going to be legitimately brilliant. And hot take, but Star Trek is far more progressive, not even for when it came out. Star Trek is more progressive than shows I see coming out today. Star Trek had an entire episode where they discussed the use of pronouns and gender identity, and that episode came out in 1992. And then Star Trek has an entire episode regarding not even race. It's regarding Data as a character and his status as a person, and the discussion of slavery and legal precedent towards autonomy. There's an entire episode. It's literally just a debate on ownership and autonomy and being an individual person. There is an entire episode that's just about that argument. It's insane. It's like one of the best episodes they have. This show came out in 1987. It's the same age I am. It's insane. I'm going to talk about that in the Disney movie, not about Star Trek. The Disney video. Not about Star Trek, but how certain movies that Disney had come out in the 90s are a lot more progressive than at the moment, where every single movie that they have, they're like, oh, it has the first gay character in it. I think we're on 8. Oh, we're on 8 or 9 movies where Disney has had the first gay character. I forget. But there's movies that they made in the 90s and 80s, which are far more progressive, despite not having any gay characters in it. It's shocking. While I don't like the art of Star Trek, I do appreciate the silly factors. Yeah, no, that's fair. I can see Star Trek not being everybody's cup of tea. Especially if you're like into... Another one I need to get to watching more of is Babylon 5. Yes, Babylon 5. That's another one. The new one, the 2003 one, not the 70s original. And I think if you're like into Babylon 5 and stuff, I don't think you'd be into Star Trek. Or if you're into like Stargate, if that's more your vibe, I don't think Star Trek would really be your thing. There are people who like both. I think I like both of them. I haven't seen another Stargate yet, but I think if Stargate is more your speed, Star Trek won't be for you, because Star Trek is a different flavor. 17 first gay characters? Are you joking, or is that actually the number? When it comes to diversity and similar topics, you have to make sure it is included naturally and sincerely into the thing you are trying to include it in. In other words, if you are going to do it right. Exactly. And a big movie that I'm going to talk about that in the Disney video is The Little Mermaid, which that's been my favorite movie since I was a child. And it was only in the last year or two where I fully learned about the queer background that went into The Little Mermaid. And everything I learned about the making of The Little Mermaid and the queer storytelling that it is makes so much sense to me when you watch it and you're like, this makes so much sense now. So it's just interesting to me how you can have The Little Mermaid, which is a quintessential movie about the queer experience, and it's a lot more progressive than whatever Disney movie has the newest first gay character in it. It's an entire talking point I really want to go into, because somebody asked me, do I prefer straight up having gay characters or do I prefer allegory? And my answer was, it depends on the subject matter. And that's kind of what I mean. Like, you can have a movie that's a very, very, very sincere story about the queer experience and not have a single gay character in it, or you can have a movie that has nothing to do with queer experience and just has gay characters in the background, you know. Stargate, yes, I agree, is good. And Battlestar Galactica, that's the one, sorry, not Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica, that's the one I'm thinking of. Also series I enjoy. I have not watched any enough of. Hans Christian Andersen was bisexual, right? I don't know, but I would not be surprised. That would make a lot of sense to me, quite frankly. Babylon 5, Eva Nova was queer, I believe. Yeah, I was thinking of Battlestar Galactica, though. Again, names, I'm very bad at them sometimes. But I was thinking of Battlestar Galactica, which is the one where... I'm gonna have to go because I'm gonna talk about Battlestar Galactica so much. I need to watch more of it. I've only seen the pilot, and the pilot is 90 minutes long. So when I say I've seen the pilot, I've seen the entire movie, which is the introduction. And I believe it's Battlestar Galactica, because that is the one where you have the planet attacked and them having to escape. The one with Starbuck in it. Whichever one Starbuck is in, that's the one I've seen. Hans Christian Andersen was bisexual, I believe. A lot of his writing is about closeted queerness, very secretly. Okay, that makes sense. And again, this ties into The Little Mermaid, where a lot of The Little Mermaid is also based on the queer experience due to the queer writers that worked on it. Especially the man whose name I forget, who wrote all of the music, like the lyrics. He was gay, and he actually died of AIDS a year or two after The Little Mermaid came out. And so a lot of the music in The Little Mermaid, the lyrics, are literally queer culture. And it makes songs like Part of Your World hit a lot different when you realize that the songwriter was channeling his queer experience into that song. And it makes a lot of those lines in that song really painful to listen to, in like a good way. Because I like the lines like, what would I give to live where you are? What would I do to stay here beside you? Like, that hits really hard when you realize the queer background to the movie. It's like almost painful to listen to. Howard Ashman, thank you. Yes. What's your opinion of AI art? Oh no, that's an entire discussion for another time. Hey Seapuff, what are your opinion on the trailers for the upcoming Mario film? I've only seen the first one. I need to watch the second one. My opinion is I really enjoy all the Bowser Luigi ship art that's been on my Tumblr dash. I think that is very good, and we should do more of that because it's very cute and I really enjoy it. I do not ship characters. I'm not really a shipping person. I just think the art is very cute and I like it, and people should keep doing that because it's both funny and really sweet. I need to watch the second trailer. I want to watch Vinny react to it because I like watching Vinny watch stuff. And I'm busy watching the Game Awards. I just stopped for the stream, and I haven't gotten to the part where they show the Mario clip yet, so I'm watching that with Vinny as well. So I'm excited to see it. Starbuck was a male in the first and a female in the second version. Sorry, I hiccuped. Battlestar Galactica or Babylon 5? That's the question. Whichever one Starbuck is in, is she in Babylon 5 or is she in Battlestar Galactica? Because whatever one she's in, that is the one I've seen the pilot of. There's a HCA short story about Cupid coming to an old man who never had love. And the old man basically says how he is dying alone because his love would never be accepted while being vague about it. Totally not an allegory for being closeted at all. Oh no, of course not. That's classic straight writing. We've all been there, right? Right, fellas? Chris Pratt is such a weird choice. I agree though. But that's the thing, they announced it right away. They announced the Chris Pratt thing, and right away we knew, oh, this is gonna be weird. So at least it's not shocking. When the movie comes out and Mario sounds weird, it's not gonna be shocking. We're all gonna be like, yeah, no, that's about what we expected. I'm still baffled that Disney did it 17 times. Oh, is it Battlestar Galactica? Oh, thank you. Lorenzo, is that the actual number though? Because I am struggling to figure out whether you're trolling or if that's literally the number. Because I am shocked and appalled if it really is 17, because that's insane. The Mario movie looks surprisingly good though. I agree. I think it looks great. This sounds weird, but there's a fanfic I read many years ago, which is about a kid getting sucked into the Mario universe. And that fanfic tackled portraying the Mushroom Kingdom in a more realistic light without it being gritty or grimdark, just more grounded in reality. And seeing the trailer for the Mario movie reminded me of that fanfic in a lot of ways. In a way where I'm weirdly into the movie more because of the fanfic. The fanfic makes me more interested in the movie than I would have been otherwise. It is real? Oh no. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna mention that in the Disney video because that is insane. Again, I'll probably discuss this mostly when I talk about The Little Mermaid, because that's kind of the conversation surrounding that movie that I want to bring up, is its queer roots and stuff. I'm not going to talk about all the queer representation of Lady and the Tramp, right? I'm not going to discuss this. I'm yes, the queer subtext of Lady and the Tramp. You see, the scene where they eat the spaghetti is a metaphor. I'm not going to do that. Right? But the OG Mario, Charles Martinet, is in the movie and would have done it. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't get Charles Martinet to do it. Vinny should have done it. That's the big joke everyone keeps making, and I agree. They should have just gotten Vinny to do it. Vinny would have done a better job. I'm not trolling. If Disney was trolling, yeah, maybe. I focus on the first part of it. Not... Oh, yeah. I'm going to mention the fact that there's 17 first gay characters. That's insane. Who would technically be first? The gargoyle and goat from Hunchback? No, because Little Mermaid predates Hunchback. So it would probably be The Little Mermaid. And Disney didn't make any movies before 1935. So he would not be allowed to have any gay overtones in his movies because the Hays Code would still be in effect. And the Hays Code dissolved in the 1960s, and Disney was basically, he died in 1966. So the Hays Code dissolved, I think it was 1967 or 68, I can't remember. And then they wouldn't have wanted to take major risk after the death of Disney. So yeah, The Little Mermaid would have to be the first one where they had gay subtext in it. Deliberately, I mean. I mean, there's the Great Mouse. Okay, no, you know what? The Great Mouse Detective might be, but that's simply because Vincent Price is in it, and Vincent Price has so much bisexual energy that he kind of made the movie bisexual by accident. I'm just bothered by the first part of it rather than the gay part of it. It makes the activist. Yeah, but that's kind of the joke, right? That's kind of what makes it funny, is that it's the 17th first gay character. But I'm gonna say goodnight. Oh, wait, I'm first gonna read what Sebastian says. Most people didn't care when they casted a Spanish person for Luigi in the Super Mario Bros. I do agree Chris Pratt was an odd choice. Yeah, it's mostly because of his acting ability. It's nothing to do with race, really. It's just to do with Chris Pratt's acting. And I don't think Chris Pratt can really do anyone other than Chris Pratt. Because, like, even in the Lego movie, he's still doing Chris Pratt. That's kind of the problem. Cartoon Network might actually not exist anymore. Oh, don't tell me that, man. This is my career you're talking about there. I don't need to hear that. Ja, matte bye, Dark Frost Star. Dark Frost Star. See, I have to get going. I'm slurring my words. I'm very hot. I need water. I need to lie down. Soshite oyasumi nasai. Oyasumi nasai. If CP actually did anything with this, like, emotions when he voice acted, it may have been okay. Yeah, no, if he voice acted, it would have been fine. Like, if he was doing like a Louis Balzano, what's his, the guy who did the live action Mario, if he was just copying him, it would have been fine. Okay, goodbye and good night. Okay, good night, guys. Good night, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for coming for the first non-High Guardian Spice stream. And I'll see you guys in January, unless there's like an extra stream or something. But you guys must have a good Christmas if you celebrate, or if you are doing Hanukkah or anything like that, you must have a good Hanukkah or anything else. And I hope you have a good December, and I hope that your winter isn't too bad. And if you're like me, stuck in summer, I hope your summer isn't too bad either. So bye guys, thanks for showing up. Let me go to my Streamlabs and get this sorted. I didn't make a Christmas end slate, so we're just gonna do the good old fashioned. Wait a sec, I want to drop a SC. Oh, thank you. Okay, I will definitely wait for that. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. I'm in the south. It's Chanukah here. I don't know what that means, but I'm sorry to hear it, and or glad, depending on the definition. Okay, I'm waiting for Sebastian, because Sebastian is being very, very kind. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sebastian. I really appreciate it. That's really, really kind of you. I really, really appreciate it very much. And I don't know what else to say other than that. Okay. It's a word for Hanukkah. Oh, thank you. It's Hanukkah here. Okay. Okay, well, happy Hanukkah as well. Hanukkah, whichever one it is. It's not Chanukah. I know that from the Adam Sandler song. And I will see you guys in January. I'm going to do the transition and get the music going. Go to Newgrounds for jobs. Oh, Lord. Oh, no. And turn the mic off. Okay, bye, guys.